40 seconds. Twenty seconds. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California with your hosts Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting video worldwide at paranormalcentral.net and broadcasting audio on the Dark Matter Network at artbell.com. Are you ready to witness something you cannot explain?
I'm looking for you. You're looking for me. We have to decide what it will be. Can it be true? Can I believe the unexplained? Look into the sky. You realize you're not alone. Open your eyes. You can find the trails that control.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom left-hand corner of the Nevada Triangle in the city called Fresno, California. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host for the show, also the founder of a group called the Sanger Paranormal Society. We just don't talk about all this stuff. We actually live it. We're investigators. So we're out there trying to find the truth for you guys, and that's what I think makes this show very different from a lot of other shows. We investigate all the stuff that's paranormal, from Bigfoot, UFOs, monsters, aliens, and we even get into conspiracy theories here. And we talk about all the stuff that makes you wonder and just go, really? I don't know about that. Well, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening out there in the world, and hopefully we're going to dig up some stuff that you have never heard of. And we're going to let you hear it here and let you actually see it. So I hope you tune in every week. And if you have been, thank you very much. We are broadcasting HD quality video on live stream right now. And the feed is actually, I'm looking at it right now, it looks pretty good. We are also broadcasting audio HD quality, and we're sending it over to the Dark Matter Digital Network. Where can you hear that at? artbell.com's website. Yeah, you heard me right. Artbell is broadcasting our signal on their servers worldwide, and I want to thank you for that. If you are on the mobile and you want to continue listening to us, you can always go to the TuneIn app. There is an app out there that you can download for free, and type in Dark Matter Digital Network, and that will take you over to that site. And just at that point in time, we should be on live, so you can throw in your earphones and drive wherever you want to go. And if you're working, do the same. And that's what's awesome about this. There's always a way you can listen to us. Artbell also, that Dark Matter Digital Network also has a lot of other shows that you can listen to the rest of the week, Monday through Sunday. And they have a schedule up there on the website. So just go to artbell.com and look for the Dark Matter Digital Network, and you can pull up all those other shows that they actually play. Don't know what the times are, but we're on Sundays at 6 o'clock p.m. West Coast, and that's where we are at right now. All right, well, let's get on with the show. Tonight's going to be a very cool show, just like every week. We try to bring you, some good topics. Some topics might be talking about way out there. But, the only way to get you familiar with these topics is to bring in people that know about them, that has experienced in them, and we're going to bring them to you. And if you believe them, that's cool. If you don't believe them, that's still cool. I want you to come here every Sunday and watch us and listen to us, and see what these people have to say. We don't know everything here. I mean, we try to get out as much as we can, and try to get the evidence for you. And but there are some things that we just don't have our foot in the door, and that's being a warlock for Satan. That is not in my resume. I don't think it's in Ellen's resume either. So we have to go out and find somebody. All right, since it's Halloween coming up around the corner, got a couple of weeks left for that. I figured we're going to have some topics that have to do with Halloween. I'm going to say evil, Satan, worshipers, devil, spooky. I mean, that's what Halloween is all about, right? A lot of people say, Halloween is just a holiday where people can go out and have fun, scare people, get candies, go to haunted houses. But Halloween came from someplace, and there's a reason why that I believe that holiday is there. And this guy is going to talk about that particular holiday and where it came from, and hopefully he'll scare the crap out of you. That's my intention, because it's Halloween. So, okay. So, I told you on the last show, just to let you guys know, for Halloween, November 1st, the day after Halloween, we're not going to have a show. But I'm going to play you what we are going to record on Halloween night. And that is, we put on a haunted house here on the facilities. And I'm actually going to have the camera and microphones on a particular location inside the haunted house where I think it's probably going to be the scariest. And we're going to record video and audio of every person, every family that comes through that location. And when they jump, if they get scared, which I know I'm going to make them get scared and pee in their pants. If so, it happens. I'll just have to break out the mop and sweep it up. But that's what my haunted houses and my wife's haunted houses, when we do one, it's not like, oh, you have to be careful and not scare the little kids. Yeah, with the little kids, don't bring them then, because the whole idea on Halloween is to get the what scared out of you, and that's what we're gonna do. So you guys are gonna have fun out there, because we're gonna play that on Sunday. So for those who are on the Dark Matter Digital Network, and if you can listen, you're going to... Oh, no, I take that back. They are going to be playing the best of on the Dark Matter Digital Network. Keith is going to pull up a best of for that Sunday. But on that Sunday, though, we're going to be playing the video on our end at the live stream. And for those who don't know where to go, freaking out right now, we have a website. Go to paranormalcentral.net. 2 links on there. Live stream and Dark Matter Digital Network. You can go either way, whatever you want to do. All right, there's other links on there that you can go in to look at pictures and all that kind of good stuff. But go to paranormalcentral.net right now if you want to go to either way. If you're listening to us, well, obviously you're already there, live stream. So, all right, let me look at my phone. Okay, let me tell you who we got on tonight. Actually, I'm going to try to get Joni on again too. And probably going to have to be after our first guest, because she hasn't answered the code. All right. I would, in order to do research, I have to go out there and I have to, listen to, read and listen and see what's going on out there on the internet. And I came across this other podcast, per se. And I was listening to their person they were interviewing. And this guy was talking about when he started off as a little kid, liking magic. And after magic, he got into it even deeper. And from there on, it took him to an avenue which he thought he never would go to. We're talking rituals, Satan rituals, devil worship. And it gets really bad. And I even posted on my Facebook wall that this is probably not going to be appropriate for the kids, because he's going to talk about what he did when he was growing up as a kid and what they made him do. and it's not very appealing. So I would suggest that tonight is going to be an R-rated show, and it's up to you if you want to have your kids listen. So I mean, it's gonna involve porn, abortion, and all that kind of stuff, and it's gonna get a little bit nasty. But again, I'm telling you right now, it's up to you if you want to let your kids listen. It's on you. But this guy, I feel, he is genuine. And the reason why is when I was listening to the podcast that he was on, there was a certain part in there that he was talking about when his life changed. And I heard his voice cracked, and he almost started to cry. And right there and then I said, okay, this guy's, I don't think this guy is fibbing. I don't think this guy is just trying to make this stuff up. And I can tell when people are trying to pull a fast one on us. We've been doing this for a while. We investigate. We talk to people who have sightings all the time, and we go talk to people, and we can tell. We just can, because we've been doing this for a while. And I think this guy's on the up and up.
We actually talked to a lot of really cool people, and we can't really share it. Right. Like it just isn't just not shareable. You know what I mean? Like it's too sensitive for the. You don't want to do that to the people. Like the sensitive story. Even though they might want to share it, they don't realize what they're really doing. But only this guy. I mean, he's out there already.
Right.
And his story is quite the story.
Right. It's something you're probably going to go, this guy's smoking the crack, But that's what this show is all about. We're going to bring you stuff. Like I said, we live in a world. There's another world out there that you guys are not familiar with, and things are really going on in the background. Right in front of our faces.
It's people like him and some others that are actually making that real world, that other world that we never even dreamed of. We thought it was like cartoons or something.
Right.
But we're finding out it's real.
Right.
And it's a real shocker to find out that there's that other, Satanistic side, and that might even be running our own country. That's the bad part.
Right, right. And I think it is, in a way. We've talked about it. And it's scary. And, you just, let me just tell you, there's a whole different world out there. And it's my job, and it's Ellen's job. We're going to bring you that part of the world. Whether it's going to... Like tonight, the stuff he's going to talk about is about murder. It's about pornography, and children, and devil worship. People in high offices who go to these things, and it's actually happening out there because it's people want to have power. It's all about money, power, and fame, and they'll do anything to get that. And that's signing the dotted line right here, and your soul is gone, and you can have whatever you want. All right?
What's funny is they do that, and then when they talk to them 40 years later, say at the end of their career, was it worth it? No.
They probably had a lot of fun.
Sure,
a lot of fun.
Looks like they had a lot of wear and tear too.
But it's you have to wonder too sometimes about these rock and roll bands who are on tour to this day, who are still touring, who are like freaking 75 years old. And I'm gonna talk like Aerosmith, Rolling Stones. There's still a lot of bands. I mean, obviously they're multi-gazillionaires.
Yeah,
they don't have to do this anymore, but they're still doing it. And why is that? Sure, their love of music, maybe. Okay, maybe they dig it, right? And they want to keep doing it until they fall down dead.
They dig it, but only do they dig it 360 nights a year? That's what I don't think nobody digs it that much.
Well, there you go. So okay, well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and call this guy.
Somebody's digging them.
Yeah. Okay, his name is Zachary King. All right. I'm not gonna tell you his website until probably a little further into the show, because I don't want to scare you with his website. Because once you go to the website, you're gonna go, oh, okay, this guy is just this. Well, That's not where I want to go. I want you guys to listen to his story, where he's come from, what he has done, and go from there. So we're going to go ahead and call Zachary. I told him we're going to call him at 20 after. It's 15, I'm pretty sure. He's on Florida. He's in the East Coast right now. So we're going to go ahead and call him right now. And this is we're going to get deep here, guys. And I'm going to throw some stuff in there at him as well, and we're going to get deeper. So
Yeah, so did you guys notice that last week we were talking about that how dry it was where we were at our spot, the Bigfoot spot? I made a little video and I put it in there and made a link. The place is really dry. In fact, only a few miles away they're fighting the rough fire. You can even Google the rough fire. It's huge fire that they're now is 90% contained. Not far away from there.
All Saints, Zach speaking.
Zachary?
Yes.
It's Jeffrey Gonzalez with Paranormal Central.
Oh, hold on a second. I can't hear you.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me now? Check 1, 2.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Zach, I'm 5 minutes early, but we're on the air. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show tonight. I heard you on the Josh Tolley show, and that's where I found what you had to say really interesting and right up our alley.
Okay.
I want you, first of all, to tell everybody who you are, and just let you know your bio, and then we're going to get into it. We talk about all things here on the show. This is a paranormal show, but we also talk about religion. I was brought up Catholic, and my buddy here, co-host, was brought up Christian, and I still practice the Catholic faith to this day.
I was actually brought up party.
Oh, you're a
and
partier.
and then found Christian.
There
later.
you go. There you go. Take that back. Right. So,
You were actually brought up Christian. You just happened to be Catholic.
No, I was brought up Catholic. It's Jeffrey, and I'm still Catholic.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You said you were brought up Catholic, and he was brought up Christian, but you were also brought up Christian.
Right.
Catholic means Christian and universal.
Correct. Okay. Right.
Cool.
So that's where, like I said, we're not going to make fun of you or anything like that, because on this show we're trying to tell people that there is good and there's evil in this world.
Yeah.
All right, and people just have no clue, no idea who's involved, what's going on out there behind our backs, and it's time to open people's eyes.
And who's in charge?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that you're going to open these eyes that we've been trying to open, at least some of them, anyways. So, if you could, Zachary, please tell everybody.
Wait, do you go by Zach or Zachary?
Yeah.
Either one.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm
Alan.
Alan.
Okay, so go ahead and let's start it off. There's no commercials on this show. We are being broadcasted on live stream video, and Art Bell's website, artbell.com, is broadcasting our audio worldwide on their servers too. So we're out there right now. So don't leave anything out. I want to go for 2 hours if it's okay with you. Hopefully we can get in a lot of stuff. If you need to take a break, let me know, and you can go to the bathroom, get some water, whatever. But I feel that without commercials, when we have people on, sometimes 2-3 hours, it's like it goes by in no time, and I hate to have a break, because when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. You know what I'm saying, Zachary?
Right.
So, I don't want you to leave anything out, and don't hold back anything. I already told everybody that this is an R-rated show tonight because of some of the things that you're going to talk about that I heard on the other show. That it's like, if you have kids, you might want to pull them back a little bit, but otherwise, don't leave anything out. Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's really have a
you
good
want me to-
time, really.
I'm going to give my little intro. How much do you want me to say? All right.
Much as you want.
How many minutes?
Whatever you want, dude. Go
Yeah.
for it.
However long you want.
Go for it.
All right. So my name is Zachary King. I got started when I was 10 years old, believing that I'd grown up watching fantasy movies from the 70s, and thinking that, that was a lot of fun. I saw what Satanism looked like, and that was kind of scary, but practicing magic and all that seemed interesting. I really wanted to know if that was real. Was that feasible to do something like that? And when I was 10 years old, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons all the time, like every weekend. And I went from I was doing that, and I was also, there was a game at school called I Hate You, Bloody Mary. So all the kids would go into the bathroom and turn out the lights and chant I Hate You, Bloody Mary into the mirror. And every time I was in there, this scary face would appear in the mirror, and all the kids would run in a panic out of the bathroom, except me. I would stand there and stare because, you know, nowadays I would imagine you could get like a holographic flashlight and make that effect. But 1976, you could not do that. You know, there wasn't a Spencer you could go into and buy this. So I'm fascinated by this floating head in the mirror. This is just so cool to me. So we're doing this like every day practically. And eventually they sent notes home with all the kids saying that, you know, if your kids were caught doing this at school, you'd be suspended for 3 days. And that was because 2 kids in their panic to get out of the bathroom like trampled. And there was like some serious injuries took place. So, you know, I've got to take this note home and tell my dad, you know, that this is going on. And my dad, of course, being the ex-drill sergeant he was, called me into the den and was like, have you ever done this? You know, I'm terrified of my dad, you know. And so I told him the truth and said, absolutely not. I've never done this. And so then I started doing it at home, not realizing that what I'm doing is a magic spell and that I'm bringing a demon into my house now. And so when I'm doing the D&D thing and I'm doing this Bloody Mary thing at home, then I started thinking, okay, could I do a magic spell for real? And, you know, and asking my parents, you know, they're like, magic's not real. That's just hokey. That's just false. You see it in movies, but it's not a real thing. Now, had my parents been the strong Baptists that, I mean, we went to the Baptist church, but my parents never went in. You know, my dad could throw out a Bible verse every once in a while. He knew the 10 Commandments pretty well. But he apparently was unaware that there are 8 verses in the Bible that tell you not to do magic. You know, it's like in the Old Testament, if you do magic, you're stoned to death. In the New Testament, you don't inherit the kingdom of God. And if it's strong enough for God to tell you 8 times not to do it, it must be something you can really do. But why would he warn you against something that you can't do? That would be stupid. So I decide I'm going to do a magic spell for real. But I can't tell anybody because I don't want to be made fun of. I'm already a nerd. I don't need to be made fun of for this too. So I figure out a spell to do, and I'm going to do it for money. You know, I'm going to do a spell for money and see how that goes. And I do this spell, and the next day I go out and I find a can of tennis balls with a $5 bill in it. And I'm like, you know, okay, this is awesome, but this could have been a coincidence. So then I do it again the next weekend, and I find a $10 bill on the side of the road. All right, that's pretty cool too, but this still could be a coincidence. So I do it again the third week, but I do the spell in the bathroom. So I do the Bloody Mary game. I do my spell, and I make sure the face knows that I'm doing this spell for money. The next day I go out and I find it looks like Monopoly money rolled up in rubber bands. I go home later that night, I unravel them, and I've got the first one is a $100 bill, and then when I unravel it totally, I've got 10 $100 bills. This is what started me on my road to magic, was, you know, playing the 2 things, finding out that magic was real, and I could get $1,000 every day if I wanted to. I joined a coven when I was 12. I started going to a coven when I was 12. I officially joined it when I was 13. I was a member of that coven for about 5 years. That took me to a bigger coven, one with worldwide ties. I joined that one at about 18. I was in that for about 2 years, and I became what's called a high wizard. I was a high wizard for 12 years. In the course of all this, I helped split 120 churches. I committed 146 abortions. I got to go to Bohemian Grove about 18 times.
Oh, that's cool.
I've met everybody on the Bilderberg Committee. I worked with the Illuminati. I worked with Freemasons. I worked with a lot of the groups that everybody refers to as conspiracy theory, that they don't know if these things really exist, or a lot of people deny they really exist. I'm here to tell you they do exist for the most part. I imagine there are some out there that are so. Usually you can pick out one if they really exist because they are the craziest sounding thing. It sounds like nobody could ever possibly really do that. If you hear that, it's most likely a real conspiracy. It really exists. I came out of organized Satanism when I was about 33 years old. I tried to hide. I kind of left the country for a while, and I lived off the grid for about 3 years, trying to just not die, basically. When I resurfaced in the United States, but in a state where they allow you to hide. And I did that for about 5 years, and one day this woman came in. I was a manager of a jewelry store, and this woman came in, made a purchase. When she was leaving, she said she had something for me, and I thought, yeah, whatever. And then I realized, oh, she's going to hand me something religious, and I don't want this. I had believed that I sold my soul when I was 13 years old, and going to God wasn't an option. And but instead, she pulled out a little gold disc, which was, bizarre to me. And I'm looking at that, not knowing what that is. And she said, "The Blessed Mother's calling you into her army." Now, remember, I grew up Baptist. Mary gave birth to Jesus. That's the only story we got. There's no title. There's no other names. None of that. So I'm thinking Blessed Mother, Isis, Gaia. Obviously, this woman represents some female deity cult. I'm not interested. And she tells me it's very powerful. And I know that Christians don't bless anything, so it can't be powerful. And she tells me a couple of other things. And then, I'm determined that I'm going to take it in my hand and I'm going to swear, whatever you want me to do with this thing. But I know that it's not going to have any power. At that time, I was still practicing magic, and I could touch something and I could tell you this was used in a protection spell, this was used in a death spell. Your friend found this at Goodwill and made up a story about it. Whatever, just, yeah, sure, give it to me and I'll hold it for you for a second, and I'll tell you that it's worthless. And she drops it in my hand, and I clench my fist around it, and I'm transported to like this darkened void. My mall, my store, everything's gone, and it's me and this woman that just handed me the medal, and she's talking to me about all the sins I've committed. That I've been working for the devil for over 25 years, that I've committed over 100 abortions, that I've broken up over 100 churches. But she's naming specific sins that I've committed that no one should know about. And I am pretty terrified. I don't know who this woman is, and I'm equating how she got me there with magic. And I was, as a high wizard, you are the practicing magic person of your satanic cult. And so we're in a pretty high up, in magically speaking, and I couldn't do what this woman was doing. And then she told me again, the Blessed Mother's calling you into her army. And then I knew, clear as a bell, that the Blessed Mother was the Mother of God. Again, a very odd thing for a former Baptist to say. We would never say Mother of God. And when I realized that it was the Mother of God, Mary appeared to me. She took me by the hand, and she turned me around, and Jesus was standing behind me. And I knew in that moment that everything that was Catholic was right, and everything I had been doing was wrong. And I accepted Jesus. I opened my hand, and I was standing in my mall again, back in my store. And that started me on the road of where I am now.
Okay, I want you to go back, and I want you to go back, when you were like 10 years old, starting off in magic, and getting invited to people's homes. And I mean, what you said on Josh's show is I want you to bring it all out. Because there are people out there right now who probably have kids who might be doing exactly the same thing. And I want you to put that out there in case somebody says, my son has been doing that as well and has no idea what their kids or children are doing. And I want you to put that out there so that way we can tell people what's really going on out there. And like I said, I don't want you to leave anything out, as far as the parties, all that goes. Because, I think we need to tell people what's really happening out there, if it's okay.
All right. Well, okay. So when I was 10 years old, as I said, I was doing like the D&D and the other thing. When I was 11 years old, I was the victim of a sexual assault at school, and hands of a female teacher, and I had no knowledge of sex at all whatsoever. You know, back in 1977, the porno magazines were kept in plastic wrap behind the counter, under the counter. So you didn't even have the hint of flesh to look at to have any idea that there was something dirty there to see. We didn't have internet. You know, not everybody had a smartphone. So, you know, it's like I was fairly innocent and kept in the dark regarding those things. So at 11 years old, I had no clue what was happening to me. When I was 12 years old, a friend told me that there was a group that played D&D every weekend that also believed magic was real. Now, at this point, I'm super popular at school because I have the latest of everything, plus I always have money. You know, and people don't know why. I just think, well, I guess, you know, my parents are doing something. And, you know, and I'm like doing magic spells for my friends, but getting their money and then giving them part of it. I don't give them most of it, but I keep some of it. So I've always got money. I'm a full entrepreneur. And this guy tells me about this group, and I'm thinking, well, that's got to be cool because, you know, I play D&D and I know magic is real. These guys think the same thing. So I go to their house, and they've got the coolest place. You know, this is 1978. They have an in-ground pool. They have this in-ground barbecue pit like I've never seen, and it's incredible. And it looked big enough to, like, you could put a whole steer on this thing. Then in their house, they have this sunken living room, and they've got movie posters and rock and roll posters everywhere. And they've got, like, every science fiction and fantasy movie ever made. Like, you know, they've got, it was back in the time of VHS, so they've got VHS tapes just lining the walls. They've got pinball machines and video games. And, you know, at my house, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You might get lucky and get a snack sometime. This place, you have food anytime you want. You have whatever you want anytime you want. You know, the perfect thing to do after you have a good meal, smoke a cigarette. You know, if you're a little older, try a cigar. You know, oh, you know what would make you feel good now? The Xanax. You know what would make you feel, you know, even better than that? Try these shrooms. Try this acid. Do this. Yeah, any possible thing that you wanted to do, you could do. Like my parents were the no police. They were the fun police. You know, it's like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. This place was like, oh, you want to try that? Here, try this. You know, it's like, oh, you don't really know anything about sex? Check out this magazine. Check out this magazine. It's got pictures of adults in it doing stuff, like mommy, daddy stuff. Oh, wait, you don't like looking at that stuff? Here, these kids are your age. Check out what they're doing. If they can do that, you can do that. Here, how about you watch a movie, and that'll teach you about how to have sex. But it won't be adults having sex. It'll be people your own age. You'll be comfortable watching this movie because it's, you know, you're 12 years old. Yeah, they're 12 years old, maybe 10, maybe 8.
Wow.
Then this guy came to me and he said, you know, you were sexually assaulted when you were 11. Well, at that time, you had something precious taken from you. And you didn't want it to be taken from you. And it was. And, you know, that was really a bad thing. But it felt good, right? You know, I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, well, here's the thing. How about if we gave you the ability to do that anytime you wanted to? Anytime. You can say no at any time. You can start it and then walk away. You can even look in the room and decide you don't want to go in, and it's up to you. It's your choice. But if you decide to do it, we could also film it. It'd be a lot of fun, just like those movies that you saw. You'd be making movies like that. Wouldn't that be fun? And it'll be up to you. You can stop anytime you want. So here's young Zachary King thinking he's in control of his life now because he's sleeping with people his own age, sometimes an older person, and thinking that he's in control of his sex life and that this is the most awesome thing ever because I can sleep with whoever I want. But in reality, I'm being sexually victimized every day. I was in a series called the Tommy series. I was Tommy. And I made hundreds of videos in about 5 years. the way that the porn industry works, at least at that time. Pornos are generally about 4 hours long. A 4-hour-long kiddie porn video sells for $500. Or it could sell for more, but generally the general price is $500. How they make their money, though, is that they create what's called a loop. And a loop is anywhere from 3 minutes to maybe 11 minutes, maybe. They shoot porn they start usually on Friday, and it shoots like Friday night, all day Saturday, into Saturday night, and all day Sunday, if possible. And they do that for like 4 weekends in a row. So that at the end of that, they have sometimes over 100 hours of straight video. Now, you're not performing the whole time. Sometimes you're just sitting around waiting to perform, but they film the whole time. So usually you're naked about the whole time, or you could be dressed, or you could be in the stages of getting undressed or getting redressed or whatever. They film everything. When they sell these loops, they advertise it as just young loops. And people buy them. And they used to actually advertise in regular porn magazines. And, if you would send them what you're looking for. And if you didn't use the right term, then you might end up with teen stuff, which would be legal teen stuff. But if you put in the right terminology and sent them a letter like that, you were liable to get us. And then once people get it, they get kind of addicted to it. And you have to have it. So, and then the loops, like I said, a 3-minute loop sells for $5. Well, that doesn't sound like very much money, but once you realize what's on that 3-minute loop, then other people want more and more and more of them. If somebody buys the complete loop set, that's thousands of dollars. And then that person in turn, now they have all the loops, they can sell them. You just duplicate them and sell them. So I imagine my loops went all over the world. But I'm not the only person. I mean, there was tons of people doing that same thing. I wasn't the only child involved. And part of my satanic group was called Diablo Sex. My coven had like 3 names. Diablo Sex was one of them. The second coven that I went to also had Diablo Sex as one of its names. Any coven can have that name as part of their name if they're involved in, usually it's really bizarre sexuality, but in a lot of cases it's kiddie porn. So there's an actual coven out there named Diablo Sex. I don't know if they are into the child sex trade as well, but I know that every other cult that has that name, that's what they do.
Okay. All right. Now, obviously, you did a lot of. You were at a lot of parties, a lot of porn. Then, obviously, you wanted to increase. Didn't somebody come up and tell you that you can actually increase in power? Because you wanted everything, didn't you?
I did. I mean, when you're a little nerdy kid, the more you can get, and you want power. That's ultimately your reason for going into Satanism. When I was 14, there was a sex party held that with the intention of we were sleeping with. There was all the male members between 12 and 15 slept with a female coven member over the age of 18, and the purpose was to make her pregnant. And ultimately, the reason for that, we were going to abort the baby like 8 or 9 months later, but the reason for that was the mayor of our town had tried to pass some kind of law or ordinance or something for like 3 or 4 years, and it was never being passed. So he came to our coven, and they said, yeah, we can do it. We can do a spell for that, but we'll need an abortion to do that. So he found somebody that was willing to get pregnant, and this is the way we made her pregnant. And then, 8 or 9 months later, we met in the farmhouse and did an abortion. Probably a couple of years prior to that, I had seen this guy late at night, and we were at a sleepover at this farmhouse, and this guy came in one night, like late at night. Like I got up to get like a drink of water or something. And this guy walks in, and he's got like an old school tuxedo, like maybe from the 1800s. He's wearing a top hat. He's got a cane, and he's got corpse paint on his face. And he just looks so cool. He looks like a rock star. And he sees me, and he just winks at me, and he goes into a room. I have no idea what this position is. So when I went to the next coven, when I was 18, I attended a couple of meetings. I introduced myself, let them check me out from, my old coven, and I got invited to a meeting one night. And at that meeting, I saw somebody dressed just like this guy that I had seen when I was like 13. And they told me that position was called the High Wizard. And I was thinking, that's what I want to be. I want to do that. I don't know exactly what that is, but that position looks awesome. And they told me that there was between 1 and 10 High Wizards in the world, that they all worked. My coven at that point, this would have been around 1987 or 88, my coven had 1.1 million members worldwide.
Wow.
Their hands were in every nefarious stew there was. And they told me that there was between 1 and 10 of these guys, and they are in the inner circle of who practices magic for all the important groups in the United States. Like if you're a rock star and you want to be a famous rock star, or you want to be an actual rock star itself, or you want to be a famous actor, or if you're in the banking industry and you want to be a billionaire, or if you're in government and you want some spell for something, this is who you go to. And I was like, that's what I want to be. But you can't just make yourself a High Wizard. You have to be chosen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach. We were just talking about that before we went on the air about rock stars to this day, how we were talking about like Aerosmith and Rolling Stones, how they're still touring. There are big time rock stars who are multi-gazillionaires, man, and I feel a lot of those are they basically sold their souls. And there's a lot of them. I can give you a list. Madonna comes to mind, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Some of these, they become famous overnight.
And they're old, and they're still going.
Yeah, and I think there are ways that you can make this happen. And what you're saying right now makes total sense.
Well, there's actually, if you go on YouTube and search, you'll find rock stars saying that they made a deal with the devil. That there's and Katy Perry in an interview on TV was talking about
she sold her soul.
She had started out as a gospel singer,
right?
And she eventually couldn't make it as a gospel singer. She couldn't get famous, so she sold her soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my girlfriend, and I know
Michael Jackson saying the same thing, and Jay-Z and Beyonce, and it's almost everybody. It's like a who's who list of who sold their soul to the devil is also a who's who list of who's in the rock and roll industry.
I was pointing out to my wife the show Idol, American Idol. They're telling, it's blatant, like straight up, right out there, idol. You know what I mean? They're gonna make an idol out of this person,
right?
And then they're signing. They're going to get a contract. That's what the whole thing is all about. No, they don't even pull any punches.
No, I didn't think about that.
It's Idol.
Yeah.
Sign
here and we'll make you famous.
It was my wife's favorite show. Now she's like, man, now that you told me that, I can't really watch this show.
Your show for her.
Yeah, she can't watch Idol,
Yeah, it's like Satan hides in plain sight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually thinking of on the way over here how easy plain sight is, like just to make it where people can kind of understand what I'm talking about. Like say there's a factory and they want to keep people from stealing in the factory, so they put guards and everything out there, and every day at the end of the shift, this guy goes out with a wheelbarrow full of sawdust and everything, and the guard thinks he's stealing something, so he makes him dump it over, and he goes through all the sawdust and all this stuff, and then every day, this old guy comes out with the sawdust, and he just knows that this guy's stealing something, but he just can't put his finger on it. Like finally he asked the old dude, like, "Hey, I'll never tell anyone what you're stealing if you'll come clean with me, because he never finds anything in the sawdust. I mean, he goes through it, with a fine-tooth comb, and the old guy looks at him and finally says, "I'm the wheelbarrows. I'm stealing wheelbarrows." And it's that blatant. You know what I mean? It's that blatant. The guy
Right.
is looking at the wheelbarrow, and we're sifting through all this stuff that's in the wheelbarrow, but they're taking the wheelbarrow. I mean, it's that big of a deal,
Right.
I mean, it's right in front of your face, but you don't have a clue that's how much in front of your face it is. You
Wow.
think they're hiding it, right?
Right. And they're not.
And they're not. It's right out in open, right in the open.
Right. All right, man. Continue
You
that.
know,
No, go ahead. Continue.
there's the quote from that Verbal Kent makes in The Usual Suspects, played by Kevin Spacey. It says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was proving he didn't exist.
Right, yeah. I heard that one too. That's a good one. And then that is so true. Man, he doesn't exist to a lot of people. A lot.
Well, in the rock and roll industry, we would do these things called warehouse deals, where we would agree that a satanic cult basically was going to a warehouse in either L.A. or Hollywood. And I know this sounds far-fetched, but bear with me. And there's a lot of stalls, and some of them, they're just open. It's just an open floor plan, but it's a huge warehouse. And there would be like 100 or 200 rock bands there. And sometimes you get a single person, sometimes you get a full band, and they set up their stuff. The High Wizard shows up with a couple of assistants, and I walk through and I see who wants to sign a deal. Now, who wants to sign a deal is basically who's willing to sell their soul and what they're willing to do. Some people are willing to do anything.
Yeah.
And when I say anything, I mean they will do anything. Anything includes sucking off a donkey, having sex with a horse, doing something with a small child. Yes, our rock stars do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they can be who they are now. I heard one of the most perverse of these people is, what's his name? He thinks he's a god now. He actually promotes himself as a god. Kanye West.
Oh yeah, he's bad. He is.
I
think he's off his
I
rocker.
wasn't around when he didn't sign his contract with me, but I understand he is willing to do anything and everything, whatever, to get his name out there and be whoever he wants to be. And in that, the things that I listed were like innocent for him.
Yeah. So
Let that soak in.
So you're like you were the guy that when they wanted to be famous, or you were even looking for people that wanted, what would you get out of that? Like more power, or was it? Did you get?
For myself, I remember that I am signing up people that are now going to be contacted by the Illuminati or by Satanists themselves, and they're, for the most part, like they've sold their soul, so to speak. Now, I do tell people that that's impossible to do, but Satan lies to you, and if you're one of those people that believe that, you believe that Satan owns your soul, well, you know that there's nothing you can do to get it back.
Right.
But
and you're
I
taught
tell
that in
people now,
cartoons.
that's impossible to do, so you've basically given your will over to Satan. You haven't actually sold your soul, but a lot of people, once you've done some pretty vile acts, you never want anyone else to know about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to try and get out of your contract, because people that try and get out of their contract end up dead.
Yeah.
People end up being suicided out.
Yeah,
no
we've
one wants to
seen
be
that
that
a
person.
few times, haven't we? It's kind of sad. You were actually taught, like as a little kid. I remember watching the Flintstones. As a little kid, and they had Kazoo or whatever his name was.
Yeah, I remember.
And if you signed a contract with him, it was like that. It was a forever contract.
Wow, I'd never even thought about
You know, so they're like already programming you way back when you're a little kid that you sign these contracts. You know, it's a forever thing. You know, and especially like when they did the scary ones. You know, in school, then you did it with blood, and then it was for life.
Wow. Okay, so you became a wizard.
Yes.
Where are we right now in the story? You are a wizard, or you became? I mean,
Well, at the point I became a high wizard, I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And when you first become a high wizard, your first year you're a wizard, they make you go to Bohemian Grove. So if you're the high wizard that year, let's say that they wanted to make 2 people a high wizard that year, they can only make 1 person per year the high wizard because that guy has to go to Bohemian Grove that year.
okay. Explain to everybody what Bohemian Grove is and how it got started, if you can. What is it?
Bohemian Grove, how it got started, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I imagine somebody with a lot of money decided that they would start it's kind of like a big boys club. They do a lot of homosexuality there. They encourage that. It's a place in California, surrounded by many acres on a mountain of redwood trees. They invite the rich and powerful of the world, whether you are in banking or if you are world trade in some sort, or also political figures. On occasion, actors or actresses, well, actors because it's male only. They have gay male prostitutes and gay actors, and porn star actors, I mean, that come there and will perform on each other, like little skits or whatever, but just like a sex thing. If you've ever been to like a Montreal sex club, then it's like that. Or they'll perform with the patrons of the event. Cremation of Care is the event that everybody knows about. That's the one everyone's heard of. They do a mock sacrifice of a child. That event lasts about 2 weeks long. The sacrifice happens, I believe, on the last night or the second to the last night sometimes. And you can go if you get invited, you can go for 1 night, 3 nights, 5 nights, or the whole 2 weeks. As it depends on your status and how well they know you and why they want you there. But the Grove also opens up 3 other times during the year that is not as public knowledge as the Cremation of Care. If anybody cares to, there's an Alex Jones video on YouTube. If you look up Alex Jones, Bohemian Grove, it's like about a 2-hour documentary where he snuck onto the grounds and shot some videos. In his video, he describes and shoots a video of a high wizard on a boat. And it's the guy dressed in black with corpse paint on his face. And he's crossing a little man-made lake on a flat-bottom boat. And the boat is actually on a rail, so there's no way for it to tip over or anything, so the high wizard won't, tip over and fall in the water or anything. And it's just part of the Cremation of Care event where they do this mock sacrifice, which they don't advertise as a mock sacrifice. So everybody there could be thinking that they're really going to witness the sacrifice of a child, and nobody out of these hundreds of people that are there, nobody tries to rescue this child. Nobody finds it appalling. Everybody's just standing around drinking beer, watching this kid get killed.
Wow. That's amazing.
You have been there how many times?
I've been there 18 times. I'll say 18 plus because I'm at 18. You just kind of lose count at that point.
Right. What people, can you name some names?
In 1987, when I was there, I saw Ronald Reagan there. And he looked to be about the most uncomfortable person at any event I'd ever seen. He did not look like he wanted to be there at all. We came within a couple of feet of each other. I was standing facing him. He was looking at everybody but me. He looked at me and then looked away. And I kind of felt good. I voted for Reagan, so I kind of felt good that he felt uncomfortable there. I've seen Bill Clinton there twice. I saw Hillary there once. As I said, it's a male-only event. She came onto the property to see Bill, and then she got escorted off by security. I saw... Here's an interesting story. It's around 1993 or 94. I was walking in a field there's a guy named Alex that runs the place, and I was walking with Alex and with my security staff. And there's a guy walking on a collision course with us, and I'm thinking, okay, this will be the first excitement of the day, because if you collide with the High Wizard, you'd probably never be seen again. And this guy, Alex, stops me and says, there's a guy off to the right here that wants to meet with me. He's been bugging everybody to meet with me. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Which guy is it? So it takes him a while to actually narrow it down to the exact person it is. In the time it took him to do that, this guy walks right past us. So it's like, okay, no collision course, no excitement for the day, that's fine. And Alex says, oh, by the way, that guy's going to be president one day. I look at the guy, I size him up, I see what he looks like, and I thought, I think Jesse Jackson by then had run for president, and I thought, no one elected Jesse. There's no way this guy's going to win either. But we voted that guy into presidency not twice. So I guess there was a way for that man to make it in. And I think at that point he wasn't in politics.
Right, he wasn't. He was probably just in their social circles.
Now, in working with the people at Bohemian Grove and the Illuminati, I was told that there was only one president in the history of the United States that was not put there by the Illuminati.
Wow.
You want to take a guess?
George Washington.
Kennedy.
Everybody guesses Kennedy. No one guesses George Washington. No, it was Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Huh.
He sounds about right.
So he became president for real. So people actually elected him then.
Right. People actually voted him in.
How did that happen?
When he came into office, the Illuminati was going to push for Ford.
Yeah.
And they saw Carter come in, and they were like, well, there's no way he's going to win, so we're not going to try. There's no point in us pushing our person. Jimmy Carter's not going to be the president. And they backed off, and Jimmy Carter made president. So during the next election, they were like, oh, hell no. We're putting Reagan in. And, if you remember back, I think Reagan won every state but one.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a popular one. Real popular.
But you say he was very uncomfortable there at the Grove, and you've only seen him there one time. I'm assuming he didn't come back. But did they approach him prior to becoming president that this is what they want him to do and this is who we are? So actually Ronald Reagan knew who he was working for?
Well, you have to figure that no president gets to be president without playing the game.
Oh, yeah, you had to be Masonic or 33rd whatever degree, or everybody had to be that.
Okay.
But it's like, even if you don't make it to the 33rd degree, when you first join, for the people that aren't familiar with the Masons, when you first join the Masons, they make you swear an allegiance to Jesus, and you think you're in a Christian organization.
Oh.
The organization is actually very anti-Christian and very anti-Catholic. If you're a Catholic, it's a mortal sin to be a member of the Freemasons. So they make you swear crazy oaths, like you're going to swear an allegiance to your straw. You are never going to use that straw for anything but sipping liquid out of. And then if you do, then it's under penalty of death. But then they're going to make you snort cocaine with it, chop it up, and burn it in the fire. And you notice after you did all that, you didn't die. And swear allegiance to a piece of paper, and you're never going to use that piece of paper for anything other than writing on. Then you're going to turn it into a paper airplane, throw it into a fan. When it crumples up, you're going to burn it. And again, you don't die. And they make you swear allegiance to just And we're talking hundreds of these oaths, if not thousands. So, you're going to swear allegiance to your sandwich. You're going to put it in a place of esteem in your house and stare at it all the time with a spotlight on it next to your picture of Jesus. Next, you're going to eat it, and then you're not going to die. So after you swear 1,000 of these, the oath doesn't mean anything. And then they make you swear a Luciferian oath. Well, why not swear an allegiance to Satan? You just swore an allegiance to your sandwich and your car keys and your car and your tire and your wife and your bed and your sheets and everything else. So what difference does that make? It's just a watered down, piece of crap. It doesn't matter what you do. And then when you hit 33rd degree, they make you curse everybody in your family from you forward. But again, this doesn't mean anything to you because you just swore all these crazy oaths, and an oath doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything to you, but an oath still means something to God, and it still means something to the devil.
Oh, wow.
And I work with priests and exorcists around the world, and a lot of times when you're trying to find out what door did this person open to get this curse in their life, or they've got a child that's possessed, but nobody in the family really seems to have done anything to have opened that door. But then you look back in their family history and find out their great-grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason. Pretty much the search can stop at that point, because it's like, oh, that's what did it. People don't realize that those things they say, those oaths they take, are serious.
Yeah, some of them anyways, huh? Like, how many, when you're doing that cleanup thing, how many of them wind up being, what is that board? Ouija board.
Oh, Ouija boards. We get a lot of calls here about Ouija boards. People just mess with those things so much. It's crazy because they think it's not real, just like Dungeons and Dragons and magic. But
a lot of people think that either they are really contacting their dead Uncle Bob, or they think that their friend that they're playing with is moving the planchette. Or somebody may think, well, subconsciously I'm moving and I just don't realize it.
Right.
The first time I played with my friend Mike, and Mike thought that I was moving the planchette, and I thought Mike was moving the planchette. We were both probably about 12 years old, and we both just yanked our hands off of it to prove that the other person was moving it, and it continued to move around the board on its own.
Oh.
Mike ran screaming out of the house, saying he'd never spend the night there again, and I was left there by myself, playing with the planchette, trying to get it to answer my questions by myself, because I just thought that was so cool. And again, I thought that it was the spirit of somebody, that was there, but not realizing that, the spirit of somebody dead ain't hanging around. They got 3 places to go, and hanging out next to my Ouija board ain't one of them.
That's right.
So it's what you're doing is contacting a demon that's trying to fool you. And that could be for any reason or just for their amusement.
Now, how do you know that? Because Alan has actually brought that up. He says that when people are in their homes and they feel that, my grandmother is here. Why? Because I just sense her or I smell her perfume. Alan has always said that that's not your grandmother. That's just a demon trying to make you think it's your grandmother.
Right.
It's like trying to get your permission to stay. And then when you give it permission, then it can stay. And it can do whatever it wants. Because you're giving it permission.
Whatever it wants to mess with you, whatever it does, you gave it permission to be there. So, and it's like when you decide that you don't want it there anymore, it's not as easy as just you telling it to go.
That's right.
You can't tell it to go. You can't end its permission. It has your permission to be there. You can't, there's nothing you can say to get rid of it. It actually takes like a Catholic priest has to come in and exorcise your house.
Well, we've actually, that's where we're going to beg to differ on you, only because we've actually, we get a lot of calls, Zachary, about people who have these entities in their homes, and they call us because, we're investigators. We do, ghost investigations and all that, and they're freaking out because they want to get rid of whatever's there. And Alan, who found out that 2 words actually work, and it's Jesus Christ. And these people are actually using those two words in form of a couple of sentences and how they say it, and the thing goes, or whatever it's there goes. And we've had acknowledgement, we've had success with that, and it's blowing us away because, like you said, usually you have to have like a Catholic priest there, or pastor, or an exorcist, or whatever. But why is it then that when we tell people what to say, it's actually working? And where people actually tell us that, after we said what you told us to say, the house smells of roses and everything is quiet and calm, and everything has stopped. It has. So I know what you're saying is, because I used to think a priest, you need a Catholic priest, you need exorcism. But why is it working when we tell people what to say? That's what's blowing us away, because it works every time, man. Not unless something is happening and we're not knowing about it. Because I know you.
From my perspective, that would work because the demon wants you to think it works, so that you don't call a Catholic priest and you don't get rid of them for real. They can now stay there and do whatever damage they want to do, and the person's not going to really know it because, well, I said Jesus Christ and they left. If I can say Jesus Christ and I don't need a priest, then I also don't need to be Catholic. I don't need to go to church. I can just say Jesus Christ and I'll get rid of it. Anybody that's Catholic can tell you that if you are in a state of mortal sin, that attracts the devil. That attracts demons to you. There's nothing you can say that's going to get rid of them. If somebody's calling you, I'm not knocking your show, but if they're calling you and not calling a Catholic priest to get rid of something, they're not Catholic.
Right. Well, no, I'm gonna.
And they don't know that if they're in a state of mortal sin, that demon won't leave.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. A majority, I'm talking about 96, 97% of the people who call me are not religious people. They're not, because they have nowhere to go. They don't know how to go to a church or. But I've had people tell me that they've actually had priests come in and bless the home, and it doesn't work. That just blows.
But it doesn't always work the first time.
No.
Exorcisms sometimes take years.
Wow.
Some people die in a state of possession.
How long did you have to study to learn to do that?
To learn to do what?
To clear demons.
I know about what to do with demons because I worked with demons for 26 years.
Right. Oh, so you're kind of like, you're in class, but then when you when you switched sides, in other words, you were almost like did a crash course on it because you already understand how they work.
Well, that's one of the reasons that priests and exorcists consult with me. It's because I can tell them, if the person is acting a certain way, I can genuinely say, this is what kind of demon they have, or this is what they did to become possessed or to have this infestation, or I can usually talk to the person that has the problem, and whereas they'll tell their priest, I didn't do anything for this to happen, I'm this innocent bystander and I've never done anything. I ask a bunch of in-depth questions, and I can usually ascertain what the person actually did, because a lot of people don't see what they do as sinning. They don't realize that cohabitating with their loved one that they're not married to is a mortal sin. They don't realize that going to a psychic is a mortal sin.
Right.
Playing with a Ouija board is a mortal sin. Getting drunk intentionally is a mortal sin. Smoking weed every once in a while to get high is a mortal sin.
Wow.
Now,
and mortal sins attract demons.
But how do you distinguish? I mean, how do you know? I mean, from smoking pot. I mean, I don't smoke pot, so I'm just saying, why is that a mortal sin? Why?
Because you're not supposed to have an altered state of mind intentionally. You're not supposed to get high or get drunk intentionally. If you drink, you go to a bar and you drink a beer, and suddenly you're drunk, You didn't intend to get drunk on one beer, and most people won't. So, that was an accident. But if you intentionally went out to get hammered, you're altering your state of mind intentionally. That's a sin.
That's interesting.
If you go on my website, allsaintsministry.org, I think we have a PDF of an examination of conscience form. So it lists what you would need before you go in to see a priest to do confession. You can look at that form, and it shows you everything that's a mortal sin.
Yeah, give that again.
Well, it's All Saints Ministries, right? .org.
allsaintsministry.org.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, let's continue with the. Now, when you were in the mall, and you were approached by, by that lady with the medallion, what did the medallion look like?
It was a miraculous medal.
Okay, and you still have that today, I'm assuming.
The Blessed Mother decided that I should give it to somebody else, but I do wear another one.
Okay.
It has like two M's on one side, and it has like a picture of the Blessed Mother on the other side.
Now, I was, again, brought up Catholic. I'd been through catechism, First Communion, and, I used to go to church all the time, and now I don't. But, what you did starting off as a child and at 12 or 13, or when you became a warlock at 18 or 21, I guess, pretty dang young, you knew what you were doing because you wanted the power, you wanted the fame. You knew it was Satan that you were doing this for, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew.
At 12, when I first got involved with everything, I didn't know it was a satanic coven.
Okay.
This was just a very fun group of people that, entertained a large number of children. And, you could go to their house anytime. You could do your homework over there if you wanted to. And, these people gave you love and, so I thought, and, like to watch movies and do whatever you wanted while you were there.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I was almost 13 that one of the kids my age said, this is a satanic coven, right? And I was just like, no way, this is not a satanic. Like, I'd seen the movies on TV, the Christopher Lee movies and all the B movies from the 70s and the 60s, and Vincent Price and all that. And satanic covens were, like, creepy, and this wasn't creepy, and they're, like, dark, and this is lit, and, it's just, like, just weird and eerie, and this place wasn't any of those things. So then a couple of weeks later, I asked one of the adults, and I kind of like blew it off when I asked. I said, hey, somebody told me this is a satanic coven. It's not right? And the guy was like, well, yes, it is. It absolutely is a satanic coven. And I was just like, you're kidding. And he was like, no. He goes, but you have a good time here, right? And, yeah, I had to admit that. I did have a good time there. He's like, you like coming here? I was like, yeah. I was like, so am I a member? He goes, no. Not yet, but if you want to be a member, you can be. There's like 13 steps for you to become a member. Do you want to become a member? And at that point, it's like, okay, I'm having sex every day. I'm smoking every day. I'm doing mushrooms every day. I'm doing acid like once a month. I'm just doing anything I want to do. I'm just having a great time. I'm 12 years old, and I know if I stop going here, I can't do these things anymore. So it's like, sure, I want to be a member. So I just had like a couple more things to go, and that was it. Yes, at that point, when I signed my soul away, I was just like, all right, I'm on board. Satan isn't that creepy guy that I've been taught. It seemed cool to me.
So you did the steps to get you in there. Now, you were saying that, these rock stars and probably actors as well, and I'm sure, I'm going to go and say, yes, the actors, they all signed contracts, correct?
Right.
Now, did you sign a contract?
Yeah, when I was 13, I had to slice my left thumb, drip blood into it, and onto the contract, onto the parchment. I signed my name in that, and then I also had to put my thumbprint, my bloody thumbprint on it. It said, the blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not mine. Jesus died for everybody, but not me. I am not allowed to ever go to God, even if I decide that at some point I want to. I don't have that ability because Satan has my soul. And I signed the document the day before that this ceremony happens. When I'm at the ceremony, they read this parchment, which is about a 5-page document, and they read that to the crowd, and then they hand me a crucifix in a wheel that's about, I guess, 13 inches across. You spin the crucifix upside down, which is symbolic of human sacrifice, and you break the arms downward, which is a symbol of denouncing Christ. And then what you're left with looks like a peace sign, and they take the document you signed and intertwine it in this symbol and attach it with twine, and then it goes into what they claim it goes into a vault, which I've never seen, but it goes into a vault with all the other documents, and your soul is supposed to be forever attached to this, and Satan owns your soul at that point. However, as I repeatedly say, that's impossible for that to take place.
Now, so if anybody else signs a document like that, the contract and the blood, the whole 9 yards, and we're talking like, I'm going to give an example like Katy Perry, all right? If she wanted to get out of it, what could you do for anybody who's involved? As if you were, I mean, you were way involved, probably way more than a lot of these other actors and movie stars and rock stars are, because you were the top guy. How can they get out of it? Because, like you said, there are a lot of rock stars who have passed on that the conspiracy is they wanted out, but death came to them first. They killed them, and we're talking Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, people like that. Can a artist or a actor or actress who has signed their soul, can they get out of it? Because you were like the top guy, and all of a sudden you're telling me, to this day, how do you know when you pass on that you're going to go to heaven? How do you know that, Zach? Because you were the top guy.
I know that I'm most likely going to purgatory first. However, I will say that when I die, I have a tattoo on my right arm. It goes from my wrist to my elbow, and in Latin it says, "I fear no evil." So I'm going to make sure that with my right arm, as I slip out the door, as Satan is there telling me, "You're going with me to hell," I'm going to flip him off and tell him to go to hell first. And make sure he reads that in Latin.
His language.
And then I'm going to go spend my time in purgatory. Okay. Do you have a friend that had a hot car?
That had a hot car. A cool
hot car. Just a car that you just think, oh, that is the most awesome car. It may be like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, or it could be something else.
Yeah, I do.
Whatever you think is a hot car.
It's Lamborghini.
Surely you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you legally sell me your friend's car?
No, only he can.
Right. Now, you can't sell it. Why can't you?
It's not mine to sell.
Right. And that's the same reason you can't sell your soul. You don't own it.
Jesus owns
God
you.
died for you.
Yep.
Jesus paid the ultimate price for your soul on the cross.
That's right.
You cannot sell it, lease it, loan it, bathe it. There's nothing you can do to it.
That's right. That's what I was just telling everybody in the chat. You can be forgiven of everything, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely right. You can be forgiven of anything.
There's nothing that
God is stronger than the devil can ever be.
Okay,
That's
and
right.
this.
Why would you fear the cabinet when the cabinet maker made the cabinet?
That's right.
Okay, then, and this is where I'm going to. If okay, as a person who wants to be famous and sells his soul and gets all these wonderful gifts, and becomes very, very famous and very, very rich, can have anything he wants, and he does, and all of a sudden, because he's been praising Satan all this time, and then you're telling me that all of a sudden he can wash all that out and just say, Jesus or God, forgive me, and he's forgiven?
Yep.
But don't you
Well,
think that
remember that the wages of sin is death. So anything that he did during that time that was, say he was sexually promiscuous and caught AIDS during this time, he's still going to die. Let's say that he signed his deal and he signed a contract and he gave his will over to the devil and he's done all this bad stuff and he's attached to a satanic cult. At the point that he decides to come out, they might kill him. At least now he knows he's not going to hell.
Yeah, he's going to heaven.
God can forgive anything. Anything.
But don't you?
If God cannot forgive anything, he's not God.
But don't you think that's not right, though?
Yeah, but only now. Check it out. Wait a minute.
You know where I'm going with this, because
Yeah.
it's like, what about the people who have been, goody two shoes, who have followed the law of God all this time to the
But
day
they
he
don't
died?
accept him.
What do you mean?
What if you're the goody two shoes guy,
Right.
but you do everything yourself and you don't need God, but you're a good person. I mean, you're good.
No,
and you did
but
nice things.
Not,
for
not at all. I
everybody,
mean, I'm going to use myself as an example. All right, I was brought up a good person. Before I did something that I knew that was bad, I thought to myself, I better not, because the big guy upstairs is watching me. All right, and I knew, no, this is not right. This is not what he would do. So I didn't do it. And that's the way. And that's the way I've been all my life. I've always asked things from him. I've always prayed to him. Okay.
Have you ever heard of the prodigal son? The prodigal son is where there's two sons, right? And one of them decides that before his dad dies, he's going to take his birthright, which would be or his inheritance, right? And the dad is wealthy and has, a huge giant ranch with lots of everything and money and all this stuff. And he decides he's going to go off and he's going to go take it and do whatever he wants. And his dad okays it, right? And then the other son stays at the ranch and works for the father and does everything that you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. He does what you do. He doesn't do anything wrong, and if he thinks about it and he asks God before he does things, and he's faithful to the father and works really hard and everything. The other son is out getting hookers and spending the money on drugs and parties and everything. And pretty soon, at some point, he runs out of money. Okay, totally. And then he lives on the streets for a while, and because he's too ashamed to go back. But at some point, he decides he's going to go back, and he's going to ask for forgiveness to the father, and he does. And soon as, think of it like now your kids, right? Soon as he sees the son coming, he's starting to prepare a party before the son even shows up. He, in his presence, he see him coming from way off, and hears his son is coming back, and he kills the fattest calf, the biggest, nicest, throws the biggest, hugest party, and the other son is freaking out because he didn't do none of that. And why is his dad doing that, right? But you still have to remember, he still gave up his inheritance. When he dies, he doesn't get anything, but he at least got forgiveness and was able to come back and live in the family.
But what I'm trying to get at is that, right now, what you're telling me is somebody out there, he can go out after listening to us, go out and kill 10 people and say, oops, Jesus, please forgive me.
Moses is a murderer.
Yeah, but
he has to be sincere.
Well, I realize that, but maybe you are sincere after the fact.
God knows the heart.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
by the way, that was a very good memorization of the recall of the prodigal son story. You did a very good job there.
Thank you. I study this stuff all the time, trying to.
Right.
I have kids, 6 kids, 3 foster.
There's another story in the Bible where Jesus talks about a guy that sends people out on his farm to work.
Right.
And at the end of the day, he sent people out from the morning to the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, he called everybody in to pay them, and he paid each of them the same wage. And some of the people that went out early in the morning were mad because they worked the entire day to earn that. And some of these people that worked at the end only worked a little bit.
Like 15 minutes.
And God says it's up to God to determine the wage, not man.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, then like you said, and I'm not trying to put you down, Zachary. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I just this is what I've felt for a long time, that the people who have been brought up and have followed the teachings and have been a good person and believe in Him, God, Jesus, then at the very end, hopefully they're going to go to a better place, heaven.
Yeah.
Right. But people who
Well-
have... Well, go ahead.
Well, the people that had the less than perfect life, divine mercy is that's what I say. My story is a modern story of divine mercy. It's like God rescued me from the pit of hell, and now I work for Him. What I hear you saying is that, and this would be rightly so, because I've had a lot worse life than you, is that your crown will be bigger and you will have more jewels in it. And if I have a baseball cap and I'm cleaning your outhouse, I'm fine with that, as long as I squeak in the door.
Okay. So
I'm fine with you having the bigger crown and you having more jewels.
So right now, though, is you're trying to clean up the mess that you've done in the past, and hopefully you can get to that point where hopefully I want to be, right? And that's what I'm just trying to get at, is that, I don't want people to think that, I can be the badassest person in the world. I can go out there, shoot, kill people, steal, rob from the poor, do all this, and then at the very end say, I've been a bad person, please forgive me. Start going to church, start, doing all this, and all of a sudden you think you're going to be up there in heaven, with the Father, and I just don't believe that.
Yeah, they will. But
But
the same thing.
I absolutely do want people to hear my message and
Sure.
understand
Right.
that there's nothing you can do that's too bad to keep you out of heaven.
That's right. But only where I think where Jeffrey's at is he thinks that these people are all going to be the same level as him. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels in heaven and rewards.
There's levels in hell.
Exactly. I mean, just like there is to here. There's the president, and you have the boss at your work, and
don't get me wrong, I have not been the most angels person in the whole world. I mean, no one has. Please don't get me wrong, but I haven't done the things that you have, and I haven't done the things that I have friends who have done.
You haven't done the things I even have.
Yeah, I mean, you are a partier, mister. But yeah. I'm not denouncing you on that, though. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that that it throws me for a loop because obviously there is a hell.
Well, they're
there's purgatory. There's purgatory.
They're just making it to heaven, and then
who's going to hell then? What is
the ones
the
that don't?
People that have chosen to go to hell are going to go to hell.
Yeah.
God doesn't actually send you to hell.
Right.
Hell is made as a mercy.
So right.
People that have fought their entire life to not do godly things, to not do right, to not do good,
right,
that don't want any part of God.
Okay.
What kind of hell would that be if God made them go to heaven after that?
Right. Okay. And
that would be
really,
that would be hell to them.
Right. But
so He puts them in hell, which is a separation of God, as a mercy to those people.
So those are the people really that I'm not trying to, because I know the people who don't give a what and just they want to go to hell. Fine, they're gone. But the people though who knew growing up and did all this stuff knowing it was bad, then all of a sudden decide to change their mind and change their life around and then start doing good. What happened to all of that? Because you knew you were doing bad, first of all.
That means I will be in purgatory a long time.
But then why are you right now preaching the word of God and Jesus? Obviously, you had that vision, in the mall. I mean, you could right now, if you knew you're going to purgatory, why do what you're doing? Why do what you're doing now if it's not going to help you?
I'm eventually going to heaven.
But you're telling me that you're going to purgatory, to hell. Once you go to hell, you're done. That's it, right?
I'm going to purgatory.
Yeah, purgatory.
So purgatory is in the.
I'm going to purgatory.
Okay, so
If I die
purgatory.
in a state of mortal sin, there's a good chance I'm going to hell.
Okay. Okay, so before you go to hell, you're going to limbo.
No.
Well,
I
purgatory.
don't know where you're confused here, but if I die in a state of mortal sin,
Okay.
as is everybody, if you die in a state of mortal sin, you go to hell. Also, if you decide you don't want to go to heaven, you also go to hell, which there's millions of people like that. If you die in a state of grace, or actually, if you die in a state of grace by like being a martyr, you go straight to heaven because you're giving your life for Jesus. You get right into heaven. You get to skip purgatory. If you've committed a bunch of sins, it says in the Bible, there's 4 different places in the Bible that says that you must be purged of your sin to see the face of God. That's how the Catholic Church has purgatory. That when you die and you're in a state of sin, or you've had sin your entire life, that has to be burned off somewhere. So you go to purgatory for a certain amount of time where you're in the flames. It's just like being in hell, except that you have hope. If you have no hope, you're in hell. If you have hope, you're in purgatory.
So what do you
And
do?
at a time when your purgatory is burned off, you get to go to heaven.
So what do you do with the guy that's hanging with Jesus, right, on the cross? And what do they call them? The thieves, okay, or murderers? I don't know what they were, but only, and Jesus in the middle, and the one guy's hanging, and he's rightfully so hanging on the cross, right? I mean, that's what it says. And then in his last breath, he tells Jesus, "Remember me when you get in heaven, and take me with you. I believe in you," or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus says, "You'll be there," like, I'll see you there, pretty much.
Well, of course, he's talking to the big guy right there.
I know, but only, I mean, what if there's purgatory? Jesus is not going to purgatory. Okay, he is not.
no.
Okay,
Right.
he didn't do anything to go there. And Jesus said, "I will see you there. You'll be with me." Okay, and this guy, according to Zach here, he would be in purgatory because he hasn't even heard of Jesus or nothing, and he sounds like he's been, thieving all his whole life.
Right.
And then at the last, breath, I mean, he's going to say, "Don't forget me." And Jesus said, "I'll see you there. You'll be with me in paradise," or whatever, right?
Right.
But it says in paradise, which isn't exactly heaven. Paradise is, in the Old Testament, they mentioned that was where the place of the fathers went. It's the Old Testament version of heaven, but it's not actually heaven. Before Jesus died on the cross, regular people could not get into heaven.
Right.
There had been a grave sin that happened against God back in the Old Testament, and it put all of the people that died that were worthy of going to heaven went to this place, paradise, or the place of the dead. And that's where they remained until Jesus died on the cross. When he resurrected, when he ascended back into heaven, he took all the souls from paradise up with him.
Yeah, he went and wrestled the keys back, or whatever it was. Something like that.
So since after you die, time stands still. So that man being in paradise, it wasn't heaven. It was just like a waiting station while he's waiting to go to heaven. And that could have felt like an eternity being there.
Okay. All right. Well, I you did answer some questions that I've had, and Alan and I always talk about this stuff.
Yeah, we do.
We do. We talk about it. We talk when we're driving up to go find Bigfoot. Damn it, we're talking about heaven and hell and all this other kind of stuff. So it's like we're so into this stuff. Zachary's not even funny. But I see where you're coming from. And I just wanted to make it clear because for you to have witnessed something very powerful at the mall. Not that many people get to have that. Alan.
Well, I mean, it's not a common story, but it is a story.
Right.
And I'm not the only one that has it. If you look through the lives of the saints, there's a lot of stories of people that have met the Blessed Mother through a miraculous medal.
Okay. All right. Well,
which I didn't know about until after it happened. Like a few years after it happened to me. As far as I knew, I was the only person, but then I found out I wasn't.
Right. Yeah. Like Paul, he met, I guess, Jesus on the road, and that's what blinded him. And so I mean, there is some things.
So many cool stories in the Bible.
Yeah, there is.
So has anything ever happened? What year did that happen in the mall, Zach?
2008.
2008.
January of 2008.
So you're 7 years now into it. You're out there promoting, his name, the good life. Basically you're trying to tell people that there is good and there's evil. No doubt about it. We know that for a fact here, on this show that we tell people, you got to have good. In order to have good, there's evil and there's there's up and there's down. And I wanted you to come on tonight because I have a lot of friends who are atheists. They don't believe in the devil or God or Jesus. They don't. And people who are very...
Man, I wish I had as much faith as an atheist has.
They don't even believe...
Faith I could move a mountain.
They don't even believe in the other side either.
No, they
side,
don't believe in either, man. I mean,
what's up with that?
It's scary, dude.
I got a fun story to tell you about Satanism and what it does. In the satanic cult that I worked in, think of it as three houses, each one of them, two of them having their backs to each other, and then another one at the end with its back, of course, to the other two. And then privacy fences up where no one can see that there's two other houses that exist. So one of the houses attacks the Baptist church. And that's all they do. They just do attack after attack after attack. To attack the Baptist church, you use either a monetary scandal, a sex scandal, or my favorite was gossip. It'd be amazing what gossip can do to a place and decimate a place. The other house attacks the Catholic Church. And it's relentless. I mean, it's just crazy the attack they go through. Now there's the third house. What do you think that house attacks? I'm willing to take, anybody that wants to guess.
I don't know.
Come on, don't be scared.
Wait, okay, say the question.
This third house puts out books and propaganda and material on socialism, New Age, and atheism.
So it's not fighting. It's not fighting. It's actually perpetuating the lie or helping to. Yeah. Just putting out. I mean, they have books, speakers, writers that just put out tons of this material, and they'll send people out. There was on Catholic Answers. They did a debate, I think at San Diego, at like a college there. And it was like one of the guys from Catholic Answers versus some guy that's like a leading guy in atheism. And I'm pretty sure that leading guy in atheism works for that satanic cult. Right. Yep.
I was like, oh, it's you.
I have one that, now this is a conundrum that a lot of people stumble on. And even sometimes I have a hard time. I understand what's going on, only I have a hard time articulating or showing examples. Okay, before the flood, God he would murder whole cities, all the children, all the animals, you know what I mean? Like, and people are always coming to me and saying, okay, now what kind of God is that, right? But that was before actually the word demon was even invented. You didn't hear about possessed people or anything like that before that. But that's what it was. But he was actually killing Nephilim and stuff like that. Now, do I have that right, or am I way off on that?
Well, the Nephilim actually all died, I would imagine, in the flood.
Yeah, but I mean before that, or even after, I think he would go after certain cities.
The Nephilim were created from demons sleeping with women.
Right. And that's the part I would try to tell everyone. They say God has to be really mean. He said, kill the kids, kill the women, kill the men. But only it isn't his creation he's killing, is what.
Right.
He's killing the
as
creation
well,
of.
you know, this was a time when you were supposed to worship God, like God was God. You know, it's like this is who you're supposed to be worshiping, and the people had fallen away to such a point where that, you know, it's sort of like, you know, there's that. It's kind of a joke statement, but you know, one of the military groups has like, you know, kill them all, let God sort them out. You know, it was kind of like, you know, my creation did not go the way I wanted it to go. I mean, just wipe these people out and we'll start over.
That, I mean, it
I'm really
seems
surprised
harsh.
God doesn't do that now.
Yeah, he could. I mean, it is surprising, huh? Because, man, we're seriously bad now.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, it's like he wiped out Sodom and Gomorrah, and yet here we stand.
Right. So, okay, so you have like a website. Obviously, you've said the website a couple times, allsaintsministries.org.
Right.
You are on a quest now. Your quest is basically to tell everyone that there is a higher power, what you've done in the past. What are you doing? Do you go out and do you do speeches and on the circuits?
Yeah, I talk. I do quite a bit of talks, actually. This coming Thursday, I will be at a Catholic event, Theology on Tap, in Venice, Florida. The following Tuesday, I'm speaking at a church in Lehigh Acres, St. Raphael. And then the following Sunday, I would be at Epiphany Cathedral in Venice. And, but then, I mean, I travel the world. Last year I was in France. This year I was in Ireland. Next year in February, I'll be in Trinidad for 11 days and New Zealand for 19 days. I mean, that'll take me into March. I have, right after that, I have a 51-day tour in the United States. And then I'm booked, like, parts of the year, parts of the month, like for June, July, August, September, November of next year.
Cool deal.
And then I'm also booked in 2017.
Wow.
And you're just speaking? That's all? Just going and speaking about what we're talking about? You're just going and speaking about what we're talking about here?
I give my testimony.
Okay.
And then I do a Q&A afterwards. And the Q&A has gone before 8 hours. So when I go someplace and speak, the fee that it takes to get me there, to tell you I'll speak. If you want me to just come in and speak one day, that's fine, but you can have me for 7 days. And for that 7 days, I do a lot of consulting with parents, kids, priests, exorcists, maybe the bishop. Whoever wants to see me for that 7 days, I'm up for it. I'll talk as many times as they want me to. I have different talks. I talk about spiritual warfare, how to defend yourself in spiritual battle, why you shouldn't wait to defend. You should attack Satan. Don't wait around for him, because that man doesn't sleep.
Right.
You do. So just go ahead and be on the offensive.
Man, you couldn't give like a quickie on that right here, could you? Like a little quickie on how? I mean, that's an important thing. That would actually head off a lot of things that people are getting themselves into.
As far you mean,
or find themselves in.
Well, you mean how to keep Satan away?
How to fend off these things.
Well, I mean.
Well, I mean,
that's a whole. I mean, that's so much.
Think it's too much?
I think so. I mean, yeah.
Because I look
at
it like
it's hard to tell some people though, because like you really need to be in the state of grace.
Yeah.
Well, I can't put a Protestant in the state of grace. They can't put themselves in the state of grace. And it's like, if you're not going to be in a state of grace, it's like you're open for satanic attack.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Right on, Zach. Okay. Well, I'm if I was at one of your conferences or speeches, I would be just like right now, throwing all these questions at you, because that's what I was doing right now. I just had a lot of questions that, I wanted somebody to kind of answer them for me. And what you said makes sense. But I wanted you to come on again because there is good and evil. Simple as that. Either you can go
Right.
one way or you can go the other way. And we talk about the rock stars, the movie stars, the movies on TV, films that are being made with all of these signs and that are inside that are telling people about what we just talked about. Some liminal messages, for one thing. And I just want people to wake up because and I'm going to say it again. People get up in the morning, they have breakfast, they go to school, they go to work, they come home, they pick up the kids, they have dinner, and that's it. They don't know what's going on out there in the world today. People have people worship these people on TV and in films and rock stars, and they just need to be careful. That's all. I mean, the first person is kind of funny. The first person that you used as an example was Katy Perry. And for all my fans out there who know me, know that I dig Katy Perry, but I know I saw that clip that you're talking about. She basically signed her soul. She sold her soul. And all of her lyrics and all of the music, if you listen to the lyrics, especially for her, they basically tell you what she did and who she is worshiping. I mean, it is not by accident that she is the top or one of the top. I mean, her videos are right now are close to 1 billion views on YouTube. One video, 700 million views. I mean, they're all right around there, and it's not by accident that that's the case. It is not by accident that Lady Gaga, who when you watch the music videos, they're all the subliminal messages are right there. The same goes for Jay-Z and Beyonce. I mean, they're right. The pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the triangle formation, it is all there. But people think it's all fun and games, and it's just something that they can put on their shirt and walk around and say, yeah, I'm bad. This is they do it, so I'm going to do it. But
I think the one that I have kids that they get into the rock music and they do shows.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And they every time they pose with the horns,
the horn on,
right?
Yeah.
They absolutely think that's innocent. I mean, they even, like, the other day they were in the living room and they were all posing with the little kids,
Right.
and they were showing the little kids how to make the horns and stand there and pose with the horns.
And
Right? It was like, man.
yeah, and if you
wow,
go and look
you know.
at pictures, snapshots, and videos, they the bushes, all the higher people. Now, okay, Zach. All right, we're gonna get into something really quick here. What do you think about this Pope?
My personal opinion of the Pope.
Yes.
I think he's the Pope and he's Catholic. But
That's not where I was going.
personal things like the encyclical he wrote on creation. Part 2 is creation, and no one pays attention to part 2 because they're all hung up on part 1, where he talks about global warming. He went with his view on global warming, which he only looked at one point of view, and he went with that. I'm not a fan of that. I think that he should have looked at more options, and I think that he, as like you would describe Donald Trump, he shoots from the lip. I think he doesn't plan out these statements first. He just makes them, and then he doesn't know English, so it has to be translated, and it's usually translated incorrectly, or it's translated however the liberal press wants to translate it, and it may not be necessarily what he said or what he meant. But, you're allowed to disagree with whatever the Pope says as long as he's not talking about infallible doctrine.
Do you agree with what they're saying about the aliens?
Well, he said that if an alien ever came down and professed Jesus Christ, he would baptize him.
Wow.
It was more made as a joke, but an alien would never do that because aliens are demonic.
That's right. Yep, they are. I have a hard time with people because they say that all the time, and they're like, "Oh, get out!" You know, they're gonna come and save us. Didn't you know that?
You know, if
Where did
one of the things to me that proves that aliens are demonic is that most of the people that are so obsessed with aliens never go to church,
Yeah.
which means the devil's doing his job, because the devil doesn't necessarily want you to worship him. He wants you to not worship God. Aliens do that.
Yeah, they in fact will tell stories about how they create it. I mean, they have their own creation, everything. And when you say Jesus, they'll talk about it. I've talked to a few people that's been abducted, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they said Jesus is a teacher, was a great teacher, you know, but he's the most." To me, he was the most famous teacher in the world. You know, I mean, like, no teacher has ever been written about, worshipped, or wrote about, or I mean, you know, like that known ever. You know, nobody in history is as famous as this teacher.
Right.
It's like two of the most famous people in the world is Jesus and the devil.
Exactly.
I mean, if these things weren't real, I mean, look at it from the atheist point of view. If these people weren't real, why do we still know about them?
Right. See, that I was saying that just the other day to a bunch of people. Like, if just say, you know, that if this is all fake, then we wouldn't even know. 2,000 years later, that wouldn't even be in our vocabulary. You couldn't find anything written about it. But it's not. It's completely opposite of that. It is the top-selling book in the world, and has been for 2,000 years.
Right.
Well, practically.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have the Bible until like 397, I think.
Right. Yeah. But I mean the knowing of it. You know what I mean? Like the knowledge has been there passed down for a long, long time. You know, and verified by all kinds of archaeology and other historians, and I mean, nobody argues about it except us, really. That's the weird part.
So where did you get? And again, I'm the guy who's going to ask all these questions because I just want to know. You said that the aliens are demonic, are demons. What makes you think that?
What?
What makes you think that the aliens are demonic, are demons?
Well, one, for the reason that I just gave, is that, you know, the majority of the people that are into UFOs don't go to church, and they will stay out till all hours to do whatever it is they do out with their demonic stuff. Also, another large number of people that are into aliens are also into New Age stuff.
Yeah.
New Age stuff is satanic, but to me, it's more dangerous than blatant Satanism, because in New Age, to make something New Age, you have to take out God, the devil, heaven, or hell. So, you know, even religions like Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, they've taken out hell, so there's no accountability. You know, if you sin and you aren't a good person, you just die, and that's all that happens to you. As well as they're even if they had hell, they're a heresy because they don't believe that Jesus is God, which is a really odd paradox, because they call themselves Christian, but they don't believe in Christ.
Yeah, it's weird.
Odd thing. So anyway, most of the people that are into UFOs are also into New Age, which almost by default makes them satanic. And then if there was anything, if people that follow alien stuff, that is the most important thing to them. Now, it's the most important thing to a lot of them. You know, it's not like the UFO phenomenon is a small, tiny group of like 50 people. I mean, it's like there's possibly hundreds of thousands of people that follow this around the world.
More than that.
So those aliens didn't just start up now. They would have been around for a long time. The Bible doesn't mention it anywhere.
No, it mentions the other things, the Nephilim and the...
And it does mention the Nephilim, but the Nephilim was created by the demons.
Right.
Sleeping with human women.
Yep. And that's what I think we're dealing with with these guys. It's like the days before Noah, they were playing with DNA. They said they were sinning against all flesh, which I take as messing around with blood and DNA and all that kind of thing. I mean, they were making chimeras and all kinds of stuff. Here we are. They're messing with DNA, and they're making hybrid humans. I mean, they're doing exactly the same thing, really. They're just calling it different words.
It's crazy if you listen to some of the conspiracy type radio shows. Some of them have surprisingly a correct amount of stuff on them. I know that you'll listen to one and you'll think, oh, there's no way that's true. Well, like I said before, you need to look at how crazy does it sound, how implausible does it sound. If it sounds like there is no way on God's green earth that could be true, then most likely that's true. When you hear the one that you think, yeah, I could see that, that's probably false.
Have you ever heard of Donald Marshall and this guy with the clones, the cloning of everything, cloning centers and all that stuff?
I don't know. I've heard of cloning centers. I've heard of a lot of those places being like completely false. Like they just, they steal people's money basically.
Right.
I don't know who that is though.
It's an interesting thing. I just was wondering. I think it's probably real, like what you were saying. Only it is all demonic. You're being led to believe it's an alien thing, like Vril or something like that, is what they say control it, and all the blue bloods. The people that's been in power and control forever. The queens and kings and banker people type. And I think they're just but they answer to an alien, and the alien is demonic, I think.
So basically, then right now, I mean, all of the people that have been presidents, that are all bad. I mean, we are being controlled by Satan. Then, I mean, all these people. I mean, you were talking about Obama, obviously, and the Clintons, and I remember you saying the Bushes were also in there as well.
Right.
Then who do we trust? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, basically right now, we're being controlled by no good for nothing people.
Right. And it doesn't, I mean, you can vote for whoever you want to, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
From my perspective, the Illuminati already knows who's going to be president.
Right.
They're putting in the next president. So, I mean, there's no reason. They only took their hands off one time, and we ended up with Jimmy Carter. So, they're not going to take their hands off, or, we could end up with Donald Trump. I don't know. Or we might end up with Donald Trump. I don't know.
Right.
But, whoever's going to be president is going to be president. I mean, that's just the way it is. Who do we trust? I would trust the person that doesn't want to be president. Unfortunately, that person is not going to run.
True. I wonder how many people, like me, for instance, like I would love to go in there and change all that, but I gave up hope already. You know what I mean? Like I don't think one guy going in there, even though I like what Donald Trump says or whatever, I don't think Donald Trump can go against the flow and change all the things that he said he could.
Well, you have to think of the president, no matter what party they belong to, they're working for the same company.
Exactly. Like what I saw on Facebook.
They're going to get in. They're going to make their 3,000 promises. They're going to get in, and they're going to do what the Illuminati allows them to do,
right.
Which is going to be about 1% of the promises they made. If you look at the promises that Obama made and what he's kept, it's a very small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans all jump on that and go, look, he didn't keep the 3,000 promises. He's only done this. And it's like, really, that's the way you're going to go? Because if you look back to Bush, he also made 3,000 promises and he kept 1%. Mm-hmm. Then if you skip back and go to anybody else, everybody does the same thing.
Yeah.
They talk about all the things that Ronald Reagan did. Well, it's like, why don't you look at that list of stuff he didn't do? You know, he
Right.
also made this big list of promises, and he didn't do it all. No president does it all. They give their party what they want to hear, and then they do what they're allowed to do.
So do you think
Yeah.
do you think we're at the end days or getting there? Well, we talk about that
Well,
here too.
I have a different point of view than a lot of people have. You know, in the Bible, it says that to God, a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. Based on that, Jesus was here 2 days ago, and most stuff happens in the Bible in threes.
So we
So,
we have another
I'm
day to
thinking
go.
maybe that on the third day, Jesus will come back.
Which is another 1,000 years.
Sometime
Another
in the
1,000
next-
years, yep.
Yeah.
But
To me, the world is not as bad as it could be. You know, I came from a place where in the room I was in, I'm 12 years old and I'm having sex with an 8-year-old, and that's normal. And there are men in there having sex with girls also, my age and younger, and that's on film, and that's accepted. But that's accepted in a kiddie porn house. That's not accepted out on the street. When that's accepted out on the street, I'll expect fire and brimstone to rain down.
Then it'll be Sodom and Gomorrah.
Exactly.
but what
So, I mean, when you look at gay marriage now, and you got to go back about 50-something years. 50-something years ago, you could not even think about homosexuality because you were mentally depraved if you did. Then about 50 years ago, they said, okay, you can think those thoughts, but you can't do them. If you do them, it's illegal, but you can think about it. That's okay. Then, a couple of years later, they're like, okay, you can think about it and you can do it in your bedroom, but nowhere else. You know, you don't dare come out in the living room and let anybody know you're gay because you'll probably get killed or beat up at least. But then it was, you know, gay rights started, gay marches started, you know, talking about the 60s and the 70s. You know, we started marching, and then gay bars cropped up, but people would go to the bar disguised and then leave the bar disguised. You know, and take all alternate trips to get home, so alternate roads, so no one would find them. You know, then it became more popular to be out, but still dangerous. And then a couple of famous people, you know, they were made famous because they died, like Matthew Shepard, you know, getting beat up and left on a post. But then, you know, gay things became more and more prolific, and then you know, it became where that you could get a civil union in certain states. I lived in Vermont, and you could get a civil union there, but it wasn't recognized anywhere else. And then a couple of states came out with gay marriage, but that wasn't recognized anywhere. It would only be recognized there. Then certain other states said, okay, you can't get married here, but we'll recognize your marriage here. And then 12 states had gay marriage. And then gay marriage was the law of the land. Now, I told that story to also tell you about that thought of you can't think about homosexual thoughts because that's a abnormality, was thought up by the American Psychiatric Association. And then them saying that it's okay to think about it, but you can't act on it because it's illegal, was also by the American Psychiatric Association. Guess what the American Psychiatric Association just said earlier this year? If you're a pedophile, you can now think those thoughts. That's okay, but you can't act on them because it's illegal.
That's right.
Now, that road took about 50 years for them to pave and now zoom down with gay marriage. Since the road's already been paved and all the dips and winding curves and stop signs and stop lights and all that are known, how long do you think it will take for them to decide that pedophiles can now just snatch some child off the street and marry them and have sex with them? Now, it sounds crazy, but
It could be 20
it's
years.
following the same pattern already,
Yeah.
you know, with the first step.
Look how fast marijuana is going.
well,
You know,
isn't
same
that
thing.
allowed over there? And with the Muslim groups, you know how they're marrying very young. I mean,
Yeah, they marry, there's that famous picture that circulates around the internet, sometimes on Facebook, where it shows a line of Muslim men marrying girls that look like they're between like 6 and 12.
right.
And 12 is the oldest child you'll see.
Now, what
But,
about?
you know, in the Muslim book, you look at whatever their lead guy was back in the day, he married a 7-year-old girl and had sexual relations with her.
Now, we are, we discussed obviously the Bible here as well, and follow what's happening in our world with Israel, and on the politics part of it, because Alan actually is way in more to the Bible than I am. He has read it several times. Now you're saying that possibly the end times. I mean, we're way far out. When you're saying almost maybe 1,500 years. That's a long time. But what?
It is a long time.
But what we
I could be wrong.
Okay, what we see now.
I'm not the expert.
Right. But what we see now, though, happening around the world on Israel, things are getting close. I mean, I can't see 1,000 years out or 5,000 years, not even 100, to be honest. I think we're getting close, to be honest. I think we are. I mean, the world is turning evil. I mean, things are heading downward. And I remember when I was a kid, and in junior high school, I remember hearing people say, the Christians are going to get their heads cut off if they don't worship, somebody else or the devil or whatever. And it's happening now, but not in this country.
A few times.
You
It's happened here a couple times already.
has it?
Yeah.
ISIS has got to be here. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
haven't reared their ugly head yet.
Oh no, they're here. I totally agree with you. They're here, and
That's actually the only thing that makes me think out of all the things, the only thing that makes me think we might be near is when you see Israel become a nation. That means start looking for him. And that's what it says. Start looking for him. I'm coming back. And, I mean, for a long 2,000 years, there was nothing. And then now it's a nation. It's time to start looking. And it said when it's going to bloom like a flower. And a weird thing, when you Google it, you find out they're almost the number one exporter of flowers. So, I mean, it's like, just weird things, that the Bible says that nobody could know way back then, and all that stuff's happening, right before your eye.
right.
And it makes me look up. I'm hoping he's coming.
Yeah. Well, you've died. You've seen what's on the other side, so you can't wait to go.
Well, I wish I would have saw more. All I saw was I think I saw.
You felt it though.
I saw the little valley you go through to get from here to there. I think that's where I was.
Okay.
But it still was cool traveling at the speed of thought and stuff like that. It was pretty righteous.
Right on. All right, Zachary. I think we've had you on for. I think your voice is probably going to get lost here pretty quick. So, give everybody your website one more time, please.
It's allsaintsministry.org.
Now
we also have on our website, we have a bunch of videos.
Cool.
If somebody, some of the things we raised on here tonight, I have videos about.
you are writing a couple of books.
I am writing a book called Satan Loves Me, Loves Me Not, and Abortion is a Satanic Sacrifice. There's a sad story to go with that, in a way. My spiritual director, about 7 years ago, told me that the book, I was writing one book, and he said that it had to be split in half, and that the second book was complete, but I have to put the first book out first. I don't have time to finish that one. I've got like 10 or 11, 12 CDs and DVDs out that took precedence.
Right on.
And now I'm working on Abortion as a Satanic Sacrifice, the CD. When that's out, when that comes out, I can start back on Satan Loves Me, Loves Me Not, the book.
Wow.
And that's where I wanted to go too.
That's so cool.
What I wanted to go with the abortion, how, and I'm the Democrats, with the Planned Parenthood, with all that going on, it's like that's telling you right there that our government wants all that to happen.
Yeah.
They want to keep it going. That's
we'll have
scary.
to have Zach come on. We'll have to have you back, man.
Yeah. We can.
And then we can pick out some topics and go really down, that rabbit hole.
Absolutely. So, right on.
Because I noticed our chat was all over the map.
Oh yeah. We can. There's so much to talk about. It's So, all right, Zachary. I wanna say thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you, sir.
And I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
When this link is ready, I'll send you a link. So that way, if you want to check, go back and listen to it or watch it, it's your call. But
I'll
I think
I'll have it on YouTube in a couple of days.
so. I think we're gonna keep in contact. We're in the same boat as trying to get the word out and tell people what's really happening, behind the scenes. And I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much
All
for
right.
having me.
Thank you, Zachary. Talk to you soon. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Well, we did get into some hot topics there. At that.
Oh, you don't have to hang up the.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden. So,
Actually, it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
I
mean, maybe everybody out there might not agree with me, but I enjoyed that a lot. It was really.
It's supernatural stuff, guys.
It was deep.
Deep and supernatural. It is. I mean, I consider
supernatural.
I consider
Paranormal.
supernatural stuff that's actually happening. Whether you believe in God or the devil, it's happening right now. Trust me when I say it's happening. So go do some research for those who don't know about the Bohemian Grove. That's been going on for a long time. I didn't know exactly what it was about until I did a lot of research on it, and I found out it's just basically satanic worshiping going on there. And a lot of the higher-ups go to that, man. They do. We're talking
Man, you know what?
cabinet members. We're talking presidents,
I
vice
did some
presidents.
research on that the baby where they're supposed to be.
The
They're supposed to be like killing a baby.
right.
You know?
The ritual.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that ritual, there really was a ritual like that way back in Egyptian days. And they actually took a bull and they made a fire in its belly, and it was a metal bull, okay? And they called it where they were past the baby through the mallet or something like that. And they would set the baby on red hot glowing bull hands, right? Like hands. And if the baby lived, it passed the ritual. If the baby died, then they just threw it in the belly and let it burn. But I mean, that was a real thing, and you know that most of them died.
Right.
Because they're just little babies, But that was a ritual, and the Jews were the ones doing it, right? The ones that God's own people took on this thing, and that's one of the reasons why he would kill a lot of them. Like they wouldn't repent of that sin of passing the baby through the fire of Moloch or whatever they called it.
Right,
I mean, weird stuff, man. We would freak out today if somebody was saying they really were doing that.
Right.
And then these guys are kind of doing that, but only they're
Pretending in a way.
pretending, yeah, but they still mean it.
Right. Absolutely, they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. I just had a thought in my head, and it is gone. It is gone. All right. You know what? In about 15 minutes, I'm going to contact Joni.
Moloch.
I'm going to contact Joni, and I talked about her last week. A friend of mine living in Orange County, went to high school with her, had an entity or evil presence in her home, and she got rid of it. We're going to call her and let her tell us what happened and what she's been encountering beforehand. I got her phone number. She's standing by at 8:30 our time. When we have guests on here, I want to hear what they say. I heard him on another show, and that's why I found it really interesting. Some of the stuff I am not totally 100% behind on some of the stuff he says, but he has a story, and he told it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but a lot of it did make sense. But I wanted you to, instead of us telling you stories, I wanted to let you hear it from the horse's mouth, per se. All right, and now it's up to you to find out if it's real or not. Do you believe it? Do you believe in the higher power? Do you believe in evil and Satan and all the stuff that we talk about? I just about pooped in my pants when he said, oh, the first name he came out was Katy Perry. I went, really? You had to bring her up? Really?
And we ribbed Jeff about it so bad. I think Danny gets him good sometimes.
But
that one.
Yeah. I mean, really? Dude,
funny.
thanks, Zach. My intent, and I don't know, her people will probably tell her what my intent is, but, when we get a TV show and get big enough to get artists like that, I want to bring her on the sofa and put her on the spot. Shh. Say, did you really sell your soul? And shh, and see what she says.
Like, hit her straight up.
Boom. I mean, that's
so is
what.
the devil a good date? No.
This is the stuff that I want to get involved with. This is the stuff I want to talk people about. The big, the actors and the actresses and all that. I have so many high expectations of this show, and hopefully we will get there.
How we are, man. We're getting there.
It's to the point where it's going to be hopefully soon, but we'll see what happens. But okay, next 15 minutes. Wow. Yeah. Alan's been talking about demons, about the aliens being demons, and now, I mean, as soon as Zach said, yeah, but the aliens are demons, I looked at Alan and Alan goes, yup. And then,
I don't get too many people agreeing with me.
No. And you know what sucks on my part, though,
Yeah.
is, when I was in, when he said, usually the people who are into aliens are also into, the demons and satanic worshiping. I'm going, no, I'm not. I just find the topic interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But now it sucks that 10 years ago, I went and put the freaking alien face on my and tattooed it on my on my elbow right here. So now I'm gonna have to go and scratch that out and do something. Great. Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna put the Bigfoot face. Then watch Bigfoot be freaking say demon too. So I
think they are.
I'm screwed. So I don't know. What should I put there in place of the alien face?
Beats me. I don't. You know what? It doesn't go by what's on your skin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not it. Well, I mean, if people put 666 on there, that's.
It doesn't go by what's on their skin, though.
Okay.
It goes by what's in your heart.
Yeah.
And so I could put 666 all over me, but when I stand in front of Jesus, he don't see it.
Well,
he's looking at my heart.
If you do that, you're out of here. Just put it on your ass like going squatching. Oh yeah.
So I mean, luckily it's all about your heart, and
right.
That's the one saving thing that for our friend that called just now is I worry about him because he's Catholic, and I do a lot of research, man, and the Catholics are mean, man. I mean, when you go back in history, if you didn't agree with them, they killed a lot of people,
right?
And they have it warped, right? They worship idols like like the
right.
Mother Mary
right.
and the saints.
Well,
and
I was when,
but I didn't want to bring that up to him.
I know. And the show that I listened to, where I found out who he was on this other show, when Zach mentioned that he turned over to Catholic. To become a Catholic, the guy who was interviewing him was tripping out. He was like, you can tell in his face, and I think this was a Christian show,
right? That
you can tell in his face that, dude, are you kidding me? The Catholics are the worst of all, and you could tell his demeanor, his face changed. The host of the show, because it was on YouTube when I saw it. That he was totally tripping. I'm going, what?
Like all the blood drained out of his face.
Oh, dude, you could tell steam was coming out of his ears. Like, are you kidding me? You're a Catholic now, dude? If I was the case, I would have never had you on. But, he knew who he was, and he read his bio, and it's also on his website. He has, the Catholic, everything on his website is about Catholic now, because that's what he is.
Hey, man, it's way better than being a devil worshiper.
Yes,
believe me,
absolutely.
He's this close to making it.
And that's what I was trying to get at. I'm going, dude, you've killed 140 babies, 140 people in the abortions. You did all this stuff back in the days. You knew what you were doing, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm going, you knew what you were doing, and then all of a sudden now you're trying to get out of it and trying to be a good person to get up there. And it's like,
See, he didn't know. He actually.
yes, he knew.
He didn't know there was God. See,
Well,
he had no idea, and then when he found out,
Well, when did he
You
find?
know.
Obviously, you have to find.
the-
How
well,
can you not
he
know?
found out with a vision of Mary.
Well-
and see that right there to me,
Uh-huh.
that's like when I ask him about the alien thing or one of those things, and he says, well, it's because Satan would do that so that he would like trick you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what was it? Going in your house. We can't,
Right.
in Jesus' name. You can't run anybody out.
When he says you have to get a priest in there or an
Right? Yeah.
exorcism.
Only that demon's not gone. Well, I know.
What we have seen with our own eyes, I beg to differ,
Me too.
because it has worked, and that's why, like I said, people, when we have
We stay in contact with some of these people for a long, long time,
Yes,
and
and-
forever they're still.
and they would tell us,
demon-free.
and they would tell us, dude, things have changed, but it hasn't. And we have seen these things walk out of a house and never come back.
Right.
And that's why I want to talk to you. I want you guys to hear my friend Joni's testimony on what they have been living with for so long. All of a sudden, say a couple of sentences that I told her to say using some words. Something happens, and all of a sudden, it's quiet, and so it's working. Not unless the evil entities, every single one, is now in the background in a closet someplace, just kicking it, waiting for 10 years to come around, and then they're going to come back. I mean, no, I don't think.
What did they do? What did they do when Jesus was walking the earth? Okay, and he told his apostles, or he told them, now you do what I do. You go out and you cast out the demons and you heal the people. He didn't say that he was going to go do Catholic ritual on them.
Right.
And they didn't even know what that was.
Right.
That came in that 300 years.
And the religion started. What is it, the
I
Tower
actually-
of Babel? Maybe. I mean,
I actually associate Catholics more like with the ones that Jesus was facing in his days that hung him on the cross. They I can't remember what they called them, but only it was the actual church. And they were like, hang him, because he would go and
because he was out telling
Eating on-
everybody he
yeah.
was the.
yeah,
and
and
nobody
he would like
believed
heal
him.
people on
Got
the
it.
Sabbath day, and that was
Got it.
work, and nobody
Right.
works on. I mean, he was doing all this stuff against the law, right?
Right.
But God's law.
Right.
And I think the Catholic made a bunch of laws, and they're calling them God's laws, and they're not God's laws. Jesus came and he said that he made a way now, and his way would be his name.
Right.
He'd give you authority, and he died for us to be able to use that, and it works.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. You know what? It's like 8 minutes till. Let me just go ahead and really quick and text over to Joni. He said, you know what, Joni, we're just going to go ahead and call you right now. And that way we can just, because there's some things that I want to talk about after we talk with her.
Yeah. I actually, let me go ahead. I actually was battling demons in Africa using Jesus' name, and I was only a Christian for like 30 minutes. And it was scary, but I watched these demons like scream out of the building. You know what I mean? Like scream out of the building. I watched people get healed in Africa, and I actually believe we would see that more here if everyone could believe like the Africans do.
Okay. She's telling me to call her right now. Here we go.
He's probably been in chat going, my God. No.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to hang that up. Oh, I just hung up on her. They want to listen, so let me send them over the link really quick, you guys. Hold on, because I guess Joni's dad is is in L.A. visiting her.
Cool.
So let
I
me.
mean, her story is good. I can't wait to hear it.
So okay, let me just hold on. You guys, quick, start talking.
Okay, now like back to the Africa thing. The people in Africa, they believe in voodoo and voodoo and all this stuff, right? And like at one point, I was gonna take a bath in the ocean because there was no running water anywhere, and I was all dirty from the dusty road, and there was a hole in the floorboard of the van. So for 3 days, this dust has just been blowing around the van. I want to go take a bath. I get to the ocean. There's nobody in the water, but there's all kinds of people running around. They call it Pleasure Beach. All the beaches are Pleasure Beach. Clothes are optional. So I start stripping down, and immediately I start hearing everybody yelling and everything, and I look that way, and I see a crowd of people with guns coming at me. And when they get to me, they tell me I can't touch the water on Tuesday because if I touch the water, all the fish will go away, and they'll die. And I told them, I'm American. I don't believe in that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to rinse off, And the guy stuck a gun in my face and goes, you can go one more step and, I'm going to kill you. So I decided he meant it. And I got dressed and I talked to him about it. And they believe that the witch put a curse on the water, all water. It didn't matter if it was the ocean or the river or the lake, anywhere where there was fish. If they touched it, then it would go away. So on Tuesday, nobody touched the water. I came back on Wednesday. I took a bath. I played with a whole bunch of these little African kids in the waves. We had a good old time. I got all cleaned up. But that belief, when you transfer that kind of belief over to a Christian belief, where Jesus said so this is how it is, right? There's no doubt or unbelief or anything. You see miracles. And it's so easier over there to see the miracles because that's how they think. Over here, we have to think about everything, and we have to take it apart, and we have to rationalize, and we rationalize everything to death over here. People are going to die before anything happens. It's kind of sad for that, like that. But
okay, I'm gonna call her right now. 85, 26.
I actually watched them shoot people because they were gay, because they spread AIDS. So over there, boom, right in
Hi,
the
Jeffrey.
head. Oh,
Hey, Joni, how's it going?
hi, Joni.
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
Hey, is your dad watching the show yet?
Yeah, he put it on.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, for all those who don't know, Joni, we went to high school together. Matter of fact, with her brother, and our family knows their family really well. And so one day, I guess you were talking either to your mom or to your dad, and you were telling them about the problem you were having. Tell everybody what problem you were having.
Okay. Well, the house we're living in currently, I do know that several people that have stayed here have said that they have seen something, they felt something, and never anything evil or bad, though, so we kind of just let it go. And as the years went on, I would hear, kind of walking around, closing doors, and then I just figured, I'm not going to feel scared or bothered by it because it wasn't hurting me in any way. And then as of the last maybe 3 to 6 months, it seemed that it was starting to kind of not like my dog. So that was making me really upset, and that's when I reached out to my mom. I said, I know this is what Jeffrey's involved in. I think I want to try to reach out to him via Facebook and see if he can't help me. And so that's when I called you, and I just didn't know what to do because my dog sleeps in our room every night, and he started to feel that this presence, and from what everyone had told me, was a female.
Now,
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. This has been going back for a long time. Even your daughter has witnessed this while she was very young, right?
Yeah, when she was younger, she would get these night terrors, and she had lots of problems sleeping. And we just figured it was just that exactly what it was. They said night terrors, but
right.
She would always say there's something there. Now that I know what's going on. I feel really bad, but yeah, definitely would come in my room just really, really upset. And then my brother slept in her room one night and said he saw her sleeping next to him and got really, really scared. And
Right.
he said he just kind of turned over and tried to punch whatever it was. And then when he opened his eyes, she was gone.
Now,
Lots of relatives that have stayed here said, hey, I kind of like saw this. It's weird, you know, but again, it was not anything mean or bothersome until, you know, the dog incidences kept getting worse and
Right.
worse and worse. She wouldn't let the dog in our room, and if she was, she'd make sure she got out of the room. One night we found our dog at 2:00 in the morning, locked out of the house, just scared and barking. He was acting very strange, and I just knew it was that because he would growl at nothing.
right.
Wouldn't come up the stairs if he saw something.
Did-
So that's when I reached out to you.
Did the atmosphere in your home change? I mean, because families, when they're together, they know how everybody is. Did people start to get upset more, angry? Did the house feel different in any way?
I feel like it did. I do. I felt like it was not in sync. I mean, we grew up together, and we're both, Catholic families, and definitely go to church every Sunday. Taught religion for many years, and just very spiritual in our daily life. And you kind of feel like something's wrong. Like it's just you can't really put your finger on it, but
Right.
I just didn't feel like it was there.
Okay.
Right.
So you called me and we talked for a bit, and I basically told you, I gave you a couple of sentences with, the couple of words involved with Jesus Christ, and I told you how to say it, and
Yep.
you said it. What now? When you went and said what I told you to say, who was there with
Yes.
you at the time? Was it your
Who was what?
Who was with you there at the time with your sons?
Oh, you know what? I was alone, and I was scared to do it because I was then at that point getting very scared because of the weird things that were happening, and they were escalating more daily. And so I was alone, but I thought, I don't want to pull the kids into it and make them nervous. And my husband wasn't going to be home for quite some time, and I just thought, I just want to deal with this. And you said it would help, that I believed it would help, and that, I was a spiritual person and that I could handle it. So, yes, I was alone, and I went and did exactly what you told me to do throughout our whole home and property line, and it took a long time. I did it.
Now, when because you probably have a big house, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big, I guess.
Now, what happened soon after you did that, what I told you to say?
Well, it was very strange because I finished everything you told me, and I kind of went back inside, and then I called my husband. I'm like, I really hope this works. I feel kind of nervous and uneasy, and then everybody came home, and immediately all the electricity went out in the whole house. And not only just in our house, but only our side of the block, the whole entire block.
So,
Just completely black.
so,
And then I called you again because I got more scared.
so what happened? Something blew up in front of your house?
No.
Oh.
No, they didn't. Nobody knew what happened, and I'm
Oh.
assuming, I asked you, like, did I piss her off? Like, what in the world is going on? The people that came to fix everything told my husband, we don't know what happened. We're just working on it, and it might be quite some time. So, sorry that we don't have an explanation.
What?
So we basically took our dog and got the hell out of there for a couple hours just to kind of, regroup and
Right.
say, okay, what was that?
Now, the Southern California Edison, I guess who it is.
Yeah.
Were they working
Mhm.
out in front of your house?
Right in front, literally right in front of our mailbox.
So were they? I'm assuming a transformer blew underneath the sidewalk.
I don't know. They wouldn't say what happened. They just said, we don't know, and it's coming from this area, so that's where they were working. And it took them a long time because we went to bed, and they told us to try to set phone alarms because it looked like it was going to be a while.
Wow. So you really pissed her off.
I guess I was scared, but then immediately, Jeffrey, everything went back to normal.
Really?
She went out with
Everything.
a bang.
She went
I
out.
mean, the dog was back in our room. He wasn't trembling anymore. He wasn't barking at nothing. He was just seemed to be back to normal. And, and then like you said, the vibe in the home, I feel like, it's just, everything has gotten a little bit better.
Awesome. Wow, that's awesome. I'm glad it has worked. Have you sensed anything from her back in the home? I mean, it's been about a month now, I think, since this all happened.
Yeah, and then I remember you giving me instructions about making sure I went down to the whole, down the long driveway and cutting that off there. So, I've been on the lookout for anything that might, like you said, might kind of just hang out that area and want to come in, the evil entity, which I do not want back in my house. And I don't know, just I've always wondered, like, well, how did it get in the first place? And I am a very open, I try to be generous and kind, and I entertain at the home. We've had fundraisers, we do stuff like that. So you never know,
Right.
like who's coming in, and you don't know them really well.
Right.
So it kind of made me a little leary of that, to be honest.
We don't know where
It could have been attached from a long time, 100 years ago.
Yeah. It could be.
True.
It could be something that you brought into the home from a yard sale or an antique shop. Anything like that is possible. They attach themselves to whatever, but that's awesome.
Oh, how weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like doing that. I used to go a lot to what is it called when they sell everything in a house?
Estate
Oh,
sale.
yeah, estate sales. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I would go to estate sales a lot.
Oh, and
I like to do that
and-
too.
Yeah. No,
It
it could.
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, I'm glad that that everything is back to normal. So basically, it worked, right? Yeah.
It worked, thank you. And I tell different people that, like my brother Frank, who actually saw her and
Right.
said, "What the hell is in your house?" Hey, you don't have to worry anymore. The bitch is gone.
and he didn't want to come back, huh? Because of that.
No, he would get nervous,
Oh.
and he would say, "I'm not sleeping in that room," because that's where she was.
Wow.
But
Wow.
anyway, so
That's
yeah,
cool.
we're so thrilled that
Okay.
you helped us.
Awesome.
And we're
Well-
believers and
Yeah.
all of that.
Okay, and I wanted you to come on so that way everybody can hear you, because we're trying to get the word out that it doesn't take a lot to get rid of anything bad in your home. You can do it yourself. You have the power as long as you believe in the big guy. That's all.
That and
Exactly.
you have to have authority. Like it doesn't have authority to stay in your house if it's yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it does not own anything there, so it can't stay there.
Right.
Even the thing that you bought at the yard sale, it can't even stay on that because it doesn't own it.
Right.
It doesn't have ownership.
As long as you're on the deed, you own the property, then you have every right
Every
to tell
right
it.
to throw it out, yeah.
So. All right, Joni.
Good power, right?
Awesome.
Okay, well, Jeffrey, thank you, and I'm glad that you helped us and everything
Cool.
worked out.
Awesome, Joni. Take care. Let me know how
Okay.
things go. Okay.
Okay,
Keep
take
it up.
care.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It works, guys. You don't have to have a priest to do it. All right, or a ministry or an exorcist. That right there is, this is this type of stuff we get all the time when we tell people what to do. It works. I have not had one person call me and say, "Jeff, it didn't work."
Me either.
Every single time it has worked. All right.
I haven't either.
Okay, so take that for what it's worth, you guys. I try to get people on the show that you can hear for yourselves, because we can make up stories all day, and I don't think it's fair to you guys. There's a lot of other shows out there that that you can have story after story after story, and come on, that's no.
Like the only thing that people have to worry about when is one, they have to believe they own it. They have to own everything, and they have to believe that Jesus died on the cross to give them the use of it.
Right.
Just like the cop has a badge, and if he says stop, you stop. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you could run over him, you don't run over him because you recognize his badge.
Right.
they recognize Jesus' name, that he gave us authority to use it, so they don't run over you. They get out.
Right.
It doesn't mean that other things won't try and come back, and you just keep doing the same thing.
Right.
And it works every single time.
Every time. Okay. Last week at the end of the show, we were talking about the incident that happened to us when we were out there looking at the spot for Bigfoot. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up right now, and I'm going to tell you what happened and what we're going to do after the fact, okay? It was Robert Scott, Alan, and myself. We went up to get, and you guys know what we did last Sunday before the show. We went up to get the 2 cameras that I placed 15 feet up because they were up there almost a year in the middle of freaking nowhere, right? Well, they're gone, and you guys know that because I talked about it on the last show. Let me tell you what happened before we got there. And this is the honest to God truth, okay, you guys? And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do afterwards. This is going to blow you guys away. But we got to the spot at the top of the hill. We started to proceed into the dirt road. And it takes usually about 10 minutes to get there. Not very long, 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how fast you're driving. We drive really slow because we like to look among the trees to see if we see anything out of the ordinary. And we're there specifically for Bigfoot. You guys know that. This is the spot. This is where the windows, what happened on the windows and that photograph on David's camera, this happened right there. Well, we're going down this dirt road, and we take another right to the final, to get to the spot. We're on our final leg, basically. And we make this turn, and I swear to you guys, the door locks started to click. And I turned to Robert, who was sitting in the passenger side. I turned to Alan in the back. I said, who's got their elbow on the switch? And nobody has got their elbow on the switch. And it's going back and forth, and it stops. And I'm going, okay, I knocked something loose. Coming into here, I probably hit something and knocked something loose. But the only problem is I was not 4-buying. The forestry department has come in and has cleaned up the road and made it really smooth. So I wasn't really doing any hard damage to the truck. It stopped.
You didn't even really go over a bump.
No, not at all. So we make this left turn on this dirt road, and the next thing, I am driving, and there are some the dirt road that we're on is getting narrower and narrower. There's trees and bushes now hitting the windshield and the slide windows, and all of a sudden I hit the brake. I turn to Robert. Robert is like this. His head is down, and he's asleep. Okay? He wasn't asleep when we were turning that one corner. He was not. He was totally awake. Now he's like this. I turned to Alan, and Alan is like, he's like sort of kind of, you did this, right, Alan? You went like sort of like, and I said, where in the hell are we? And you said, I don't know. I go, did we pass it? And I at that time, you guys, I did not know where we were. This area did not compute. I didn't. Then Alan goes, I think we passed it a while back. I'm going, how could we? We have driven that dirt road so many freaking times that there's no way in hell I would have missed it. No. And at that time, after I said, where in the hell are we, Alan? Robert woke up. He woke up, and he's turning his head. I don't remember if he said anything or not. But when I looked at Alan to say, where in the hell are we? He was looking at me, also looking at the front dash. You saw?
I saw the lights in the dash turn off and on, but not where the speedometer is. Those lights stayed on, but
right.
All in the center console.
Right.
All the blue ones only. Everything else stayed on.
That's my radio. I had the radio on, but I think I had the volume turned down.
But they all went off and then came back on, and
I missed it. I didn't see it.
And actually, yeah, because you're looking at me.
Right.
I actually was just getting ready to ask you, where are we? Because when we we passed this road that was coming in from above. Now,
Right.
later I figured out, I remember because I've been on that place
right,
before.
Right.
But at that point, the log sticking out and the road getting narrow and that road coming down, I didn't know where we were. It
I
was
didn't know either.
I was lost.
And then that's when I said, I was
totally lost.
totally trying to debunk this. I go, okay, were we in a deep conversation and we just totally just missed it? But we both woke up at the same time as far as trying to figure out where we were. So I put it in reverse. I'm pushing it in reverse, and even Robert goes, "Man, you drive your vehicle, or you drive backwards good." I'm going, "Well, I've done this before with trailers and all that." So I had to stop a couple of times because my view mirror totally went, forward. I had to pull it back, and finally we got to the spot.
And we passed it by a long shot.
Yeah, we did, by a long shot. And then, then at that time we go where the two cameras were at, and they're gone, and we're basically still tripping out at that point in time. We have missing time, you guys. We have
actually
missing time.
When he started backing up, the song from
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, let's do the time warp again. For 2 days, that song was stuck in my head.
Well, this is what we're going to do, you guys. I swear this happened to us. I'm looking to get a hypnotist. I want to know what the hell happened to us.
Something happened.
Something happened.
Definitely.
Okay. I cannot tell you. I'm not going to say right now that it was Bigfoot giving us the eye or if we were abducted by aliens, but we have missing time.
Something happened.
Something happened. We blanked out as soon as I made that left turn on that dirt road to the end of the dirt road where I should have never even been because I knew
we were at the end of it.
Almost at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm surprised that all these
and the
tree
camp
branches,
spot's like the middle between.
Yes, and that's why I'm totally tripping out that I should have stopped, but I didn't. We both woke up at the same time. We have missing time. I'm gonna get a hypnotist. We're gonna come in here. We're gonna do it live for you guys, and I'm gonna get Mickey Burrows in here. I'm going to. You guys.
I was trying to recreate, like, what were we talking about?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I could tell you what we did the whole time, even when we were up there looking where he said he saw the Bigfoot, and all that I can remember every word.
Right.
From the time that we turned on there and said, "What's wrong with these door locks?"
That was it.
Yeah.
Right after that.
And then it was like, "Where are we?"
Right. So that we had some type of an electrical interference, you guys.
And we went like 5 miles or 4 miles or something like that.
I don't know. I don't get it, you guys. I've never experienced this ever in my life. So what we're going to do is I want to get hypnotized, and I want to do it in front of the camera for you guys live. And what I'm trying to do right now is trying to find a hypnotist, a professional, a real one. All right, you guys? And then I want them to come in here and to hypnotize us to see if what happened to us. I know something happened to us. I just don't know what it is. Now, hold on. I'm gonna mute this real quick. All right. And now I know a lot of you guys are going.
That would blow them away. Like, oh no, they lost it.
I know a lot of you guys probably thinking right now. You know, we're doing this just to gain, viewership and all this. No, this actually happened to us. Robert Scott said he will not come on here. Even if you ask him, he will totally deny it.
Yeah.
And because he's one hell of a skeptical. He didn't believe in any of this shit that we were talking about, that we talk about now, as far as Bigfoot and all this stuff. And for this to happen to him, his mind is blown. All right, his mind is blown. I told him, dude, you were asleep when I woke up. And then he pretty much said, yep, I woke up. And after that, his mind is blown. And there's no way he will come on here. So it's going to be Alan and myself. I'm looking for hypnotists. If anybody knows one in the Fresno area, please let me know about him or her. I want to make sure that this is done right. And what's going to happen is whoever's going to be first, the other person is going to go into another part of the building with earphones on, and that way that person doesn't hear or see anything that's going on with this person getting hypnotized. All right, because we're gonna do it right. All right, I know something happened. I don't know what, and I want to know what happened between point A and point B. I do. I want to know. So something is telling me whatever it was electrically. It had to do something with the electrical, with I don't want to say power, but some type of interference. Because, like I said, my door
Like a
locks.
magnetic anomaly.
And when that comes, when we talk about that, the only thing I can think about is spaceships, UFOs.
Yeah.
Right. Some people,
But we never did see anything like that.
No, not at all. Now, I'm not going to assume. I'm not going to start giving you my theories because I don't know.
Neither do I.
But I want, because like I said, I've never had missing time ever in my life. And I've been doing this for 13, going on 14 years now. Nothing like this has ever come remotely close to what happened to us that Sunday. But I want to go up there again before they close the gates, and I want to do it. I want to go right in there again and see what happens. I've got the bug now. I've talked to several people who go up to the mountains all the time. Adolf, for example. Anthony, who I just talked to not too long ago, and I called him and because he wanted to hear my story. When something like this happens to them, they want to go up to the mountains as much as they can now. It's like they want it to happen. It's like they're being called upon to go up there. I don't have that yet, but this has intrigued the hell out of me. I mean, how can I just turn that corner, go blank, and all of a sudden wake up and turn to you and you're asking me the same freaking question? Really? All right. So I want to know. I'm hoping something did happen. I know it did happen. I have a lot of theories, but I'm not going to say them right now because I don't know. Many people think that these Bigfoots have the ability to send some kind of frequency or waves to people. I don't know. But I want to know what happened. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to record it and the whole 9 yards and do it here. I think this would be also a good for TV, but I want to do it as soon as possible. I'm not going to wait till next year. As soon as I find a hypnotist to do it, we're going to do it. All right, because I want to know right as soon as possible. All right, now I'm also going to get Mickey Burrow in here to monitor everything. Mickey Burrow works for the Fresno Police Department, the forensic expert who's been working with us for a while. I'm going to get a couple of more professionals in here and make sure everything is done right, the questions are done right, and see what happened last Sunday because I want to know. And I'm freaking out, man. When I got home, I was freaking out. To this day, I am still freaking out. I'm trying to debunk this still to this day, guys. I'm just saying, I'm telling myself, we were just so heavy into talking and I don't know what we were talking about that we both spaced out in the drive for point A and point B. But how can that be? Because as soon as I said, where in the hell are we? You said the same thing. Where are we? And for Robert to be asleep right next to me, his head was down, and that just tells me that we were out. I don't know, guys, but I'm anxious to get this thing figured out because I want to get a hypnotist out.
He was out for sure.
Oh, he was. I saw him. He was like this.
Yeah.
He was like that.
He was totally out.
And he even confirmed that when I texted him. I go, dude, what do you think about how missing time? I'm going, and I typed in. I go, you were asleep. Your head was down, and and this is how he writes. He goes, confirmed. And then he says. Then I said, God, can I have you on the show? Or I don't know, can we talk about it? And then he basically said, if you ask me anything about that, I will totally deny it. I won't answer anything. Because he is not a believer in this stuff. This stuff is not in his realm of thoughts. It's not this sci-fi shit. Not supposed to happen. But it happened to us. So I'll probably get Robert Scott in here to watch because I think he would want to watch this as well. I mean... But I'm going to
jog his memory, maybe.
I think he's going to freak out if something happened to us, which I think something did. I don't know how long we were out, guys, because my wife was asking me the same thing. How long were you guys? I don't know because I didn't look at the clock beforehand. I don't know.
No, all I know is like from the door locks going cha-chung, 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 cha-chung,
Right.
to the light flashing is about how long before I was coming to.
Yeah,
you know.
it's like an instant. But
But I know that it takes 10 or minutes or so to drive down through there.
yeah, but time. Who knows what time is?
Right,
And
yeah.
But that's what we're gonna do, you guys. We're gonna get this thing done professionally. It's gonna be done by a professional. Hopefully, this person. I've already tried to get one person, and I think it scares her. I'm trying to get somebody who is involved in abduction and who is not embarrassed or willing to give up her name. So that way you can, figure out who she is or who he is and where they come from and all that kind of stuff. Because, this is going to be cool. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do here pretty soon. As soon as I find somebody, we're going to do this in here and live for you, all you guys. And I think that's going to be a show and a half. So there you go. All right. We got about 3-4 minutes left. Wow. 3 minutes. There you go. I'm looking at Keith up there. 3 minutes left. All right.
3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Again, I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in tonight, watching us, and listening to us at theartbell.com Dark Matter Digital Network all over the world. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Zachary King, for coming on tonight and really getting deep with this religion stuff. And I know a lot of you guys don't like it, but we got into it tonight, about the devil and Satan and all that kind of stuff. Why? Because it's Halloween coming up. Next week, we're going to have a regular show. Hopefully next week the set's going to be changed a little bit to give us the vibe for Halloween that's coming up. And then on November the 1st, which is the Sunday following, we will not have a show, but I will be playing the video from the day before because, I'm going to have a camera set up in our haunted house, and I'm going to let you guys see all the people that we scare.
2 minutes.
And there you go. So we're going to have a blast. Next week, I have no idea who I'm going to have because I'm not going to tell you right now. Why? Because we tend to say who we're going to have, and a lot of the other
everybody
people
has
out
them all week.
all week before we get them. Like,
And
really?
we're the last guy Sunday.
Okay, so
get 'em.
so I'm not going to say anything. Usually I'll start posting stuff on my wall and sending out emails to everybody who is who's on live stream.
Subscriber.
Yeah, subscriber. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel at
Or the live
Paranormal
stream.
Central or the live stream. We have a channel on live stream, and if you subscribe there, as soon as I make an event, it will send out an email to everybody on the subscription list to let you know who's coming up. All right. Also, if you are a fan of my wall, then that's awesome. I think I'm at 5,000, but for some reason now, people are clearing up their list, and sometimes I get 1 or 2 vacant spots, and I'm able to bring 2 more in. So we also have a Paranormal Central
A like page.
page. Go like that as well. Also, like I said, Paranormal Central on YouTube. We have a like page on there as well. A like page. Go subscribe to that. That way you can get videos that Alan places on YouTube, and go for it. So, all right. I want to thank you again. Thank you for Zach and Joni up in Orange County for coming on tonight and telling us her story on there are evil, guys. There's evil and there's good. And there's that, as simple as that. It's for real. All this is for real. So, all right, you guys. I want to thank you guys for showing up. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez with Ellen Thomas.
Good night,
and
everyone.
Danny and Heidi obviously didn't show up tonight because Danny's on vacation. Heidi had her wrist broken, I think, or something. So, all right. So, thank you for showing up. Come back next week. We're going to do it again. Have some fun. Get into the topics that the media doesn't like to talk about. Have a good day. See you next week. Bye.
You have been listening to Paranormal Central with Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and on ArtBell.com. Stay tuned for next time. Remember to keep your eyes to the skies. And we hope you witness something you cannot explain.